minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, we got a bracket. We got some controversy. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So glad to have you. All right, so Auburn gets the number 1 overall seed, Pearl. Duke, the other number 1 seed. Florida and Houston. I don't think people were quibbling too much about this. Auburn's going to have its hands full. They've lost 3 of their last 4. No one has ever done that and then gone on to win the tournament. It's also extremely hard to win the tournament as the number 1 overall seed. But let's pause on Duke for a second as we say good morning to everybody. So Duke will have Cooper Flagg back in this tournament. We don't know the percentage, though, of what that ankle is. Kept him out of the rest of the ACC tournament, which Duke went on to win anyway without him. So are you downgrading Duke as I look at you and you're wearing a North Carolina Tar Heels hat, which is basically just trolling everybody because that's the big controversial addition into the bracket. What do you want to say about Duke?
Okay, so I'm not downgrading Duke because I still don't have them winning the whole thing. Explain to me how a team with 2 dominant freshmen is going to win the 2025 NCAA tournament bracket when there's so many teams with so many grown men. There are so many old players in this tournament. I haven't actually filled out my bracket yet. I already have some early thoughts, but I'm going a lot of these SEC teams. I know we're saying the SEC is getting too many teams in here. A lot of them have older players. I just don't see how Duke with 2 18-year-olds is going to run this entire tournament because that's not the way college basketball works anymore.
Okay, so the SEC got 14 teams in, which is a record and kind of blew away the last record, which was the Big East, I believe, got 11 in a couple of years ago. So we are in uncharted water with the SEC. Yeah. 2 things. 1, if an SEC team doesn't win the title, doesn't that feel a bit like a letdown? Hey, you had the best conference in America. You got 14 teams in. If you don't win the title, I mean, what was it all for? That's number 1. And then number 2, I actually think that Duke showed me so much by winning the ACC tournament, which I know the ACC wasn't what it was. You know, this has been a air quotes down year for them. But to do it without Flagg and to do it without Brown, who's one of their best defenders, I think John Shire has shown that he's one of the best coaches in America. They've now won 2 ACC titles since Coach K retired 3 years ago. This is some pretty good stuff. And so I think Flagg, just putting him back, the team gaining confidence, knowing they could win if he's literally not there. If he's not 100%, I still think that Duke has an awesome path here. And beyond Alabama, which is the 2 seed in that East region, so Duke's going to start in Raleigh, then they'll move on to Newark if this thing goes chalk. To me, I know Alabama's a great team, and I know they score like crazy, and it's 90 points a game and all of that. Yeah. But of all the 2 seeds, I don't know if Alabama's a tiny bit vulnerable as opposed to Tennessee, St. John's, and Michigan State. So in some ways, I think this, I'm not saying it's setting up well for Duke. It's the NCAA tournament. I'm not going to disrespect any team that made it into this field. But if you're giving me the 2 seeds that could be beatable, I may take Alabama over those 2 seeds, which is why I am going to put Duke as my champion.
You're putting them, okay, so they're the Vegas favorite. Okay, you have Duke going all the way.
I do, but I've got a lot of other fun surprises along the way. See, I ascribe to this theory when I fill out my brackets. Who's the best player in the tournament? And that's the person I ride. I've done this all the way since I picked Syracuse to win in 2003 and Carmelo Anthony. It was the only time I ever won a bracket and the only time I've ever gotten close. So I've used this and it's worked for me once in, in 20 years. But
explain, like, how did that work last year? I mean, did UConn at one point have the best player in the tournament?
No, which is why I didn't pick UConn to win, which was a big mistake by me. But I'm just telling you, that's my strategy. Y'all have your strategies. That's mine. Another one of my strategies that I've started to adopt, which is 4-13 is the new 5-12. I think those 13 seed upsets are now where I'm looking in terms of where I can get some value or where I can really bust a bracket as opposed to the 5-12.
I got to be honest, like, that's the worst strategy. The first one is the worst strategy I've ever heard in my entire life.
What do you mean?
UConn, Kansas, who had that big, handsome guy. I can't even remember his name anymore. The guy with the guns. Then Baylor, Virginia, Villanova, North Carolina in 2017. Who did they have? Villanova. Duke.
Your strategy is your strategy, Pearl. This is mine.
My
Cooper
strategy
Flagg's
is
best player in the tournament. I'm riding with the best player in the tournament.
It makes no sense.
Well, what are you going with? You're going with seniors? Who cares?
I'm going with the oldest. Well, I'm going with the team that specifically does not have the best player in the tournament because I think that's how college basketball is now. The highly talented, highly touted future NBA guys are too young, and I want the guys with hair on their butt, to quote our friend Bruce Pearl. So
you're taking Auburn?
You know,
nope.
I haven't decided yet.
You're taking Houston? No.
I'm definitely, by the way, I'm going SEC for this very reason.
Okay, so you're picking Florida or Auburn.
I have not decided. There are other teams in there too. I also like Tennessee and I like Alabama and I like, and I like Houston because that's a team with men. They don't have NBA talent really. They have men. That's what I go out there and I play pickup basketball. The old teams are going to be. When I was a kid, we'd be really talented in high school. We'd get killed by a bunch of old men.
Yeah,
that is what's happening in college basketball today. I'm seeing some of these ages. They're 24 years old. How is an 18-year-old the most talented player? Definitely Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
How is he going to carry this team, the weight of getting through this many games? It's not just the best team in one game. You have to be physically able to do this. I actually don't really care much about the sprained ankle because sprained ankle, I think you can have a week. You could treat that. He'll be fine. I'm not worried about that. I just think that eventually somebody's going to be physically ready to take down Duke. I mean, you watch Houston. They look like a football team playing basketball. I honestly think that's the state of the sport right now.
Okay,
where
well,
it's not uber talent. It's uber physicality, and age sort of lends itself to help with that.
Okay, well, if you like physical teams, then maybe St. John's is more of your cup of tea, someone who grinds you down. But if I'm looking at Duke's region here, again, the East region, who is this physical team that's coming for you? Arizona? No.
Duke's got a hall pass to the Final Four. I'll give you that.
I was going to say, Alabama, that's not a physical team. They're a three-point shooting team. They're a math equation, which is what Nate Oates calls them. I mean, I'm not disrespecting these teams, but if you're asking me where are the bruisers, I don't see them in that East region. So I don't think that anyone is really going to...
No, I think Duke's got a great region. I agree. I'm penciling in my Final Four, but I don't think they win the whole thing. I think one of these older teams does well, like Auburn. Now, listen.
The hottest team in the country is probably Florida.
I watched St. John's, and I know, EJ, you're a big St. John's fan. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get after it. Don't be super talented. Just be super tough and then be losing every second half. Every time I turn on St. John's, they're down by 3 with 14 minutes left, and then they just beat you up.
It's like the last 6 or 7 minutes with St. John's. It's just like a torture chamber for the other team.
And it ain't pretty. There really are not that many highlights. It's just tough.
I'm going to be honest. EJ, you said EJ's a big St. John's fan. He is. EJ kind of turns into Perloff this time of year. All of a sudden.
What?
Yeah, and I don't mean it as a compliment. All of a sudden, you've got Gonzaga. You've got St. John's. You're doing the Gator Chomp. You're like a fan of half the teams in the bracket. Who's your actual team?
I always say I root for 2 teams. I root for St. John's and I root for Gonzaga.
No, you don't always say that.
Wanted to go play at St. John's because I'm from Queens.
Yeah.
And I loved Gonzaga.
No.
So those are my teams.
You and all of New York ignored St. John's for the last 20 years. Ignored them.
Yeah.
Ever since Felipe Lopez left, there's been no St. John's chatter in this entire city, and now all of a sudden, everyone's coming out of the woodwork.
Look, I went to St. John's basketball camp as a kid multiple times, okay? No one's going to take away my St. John's fandom from me.
Then how'd you find Gonzaga?
Because I grew up liking Gonzaga. What do you mean? They first of all, it's actually ironic. I started liking Gonzaga because they were supposed to be the best threat to stop UConn in 99 from winning a title. They played them in the Elite 8. Gonzaga went on a massive run, and I was praying because I hated UConn as a St. John's fan that Gonzaga would win, and I grew up loving that team. Richie Fromm, Matt Santangelo. Don't talk to me about Gonzaga stuff. I know what I'm talking about.
I get that because I used to root for the players and teams that beat Duke. If you beat Duke, you were my team.
Right, so Gonzaga, that's how Gonzaga started.
All right. But again, very Perloff-esque here for EJ. But you are welcome to weigh in at 855-212-4227. So we're talking about Duke and whether or not you're downgrading them because of the Cooper Flagg ankle, although he's going to play. I'd also be curious to know what people's strategy is here. I told you mine just got totally wiped out. Mine is best player in the tournament, and that's the team I pick. It's worked once in the last 25 years, and I won like $700 in that bracket challenge. So maybe it's just like positive memories.
That's like worth $1,000 in 2025.
Isn't that crazy? I was in college. Like I felt like I hit the lottery. It was unreal. But I'm curious what other people's strategies are. And not just like the mascots and the uniforms. Like, what's your real strategy? Is it Perloff who always goes with the seniors and nowadays?
No. I don't always go. I've
like,
transformed over the years.
Oh,
He's evolved.
I've evolved because the sport's evolved. The sport has turned into this completely different thing than when we were kids. There were stars everywhere. You knew them. You know, Chris Webber and the Fab Five. We knew all these players in the Final Four. That's why, a side topic, these 4 number ones, to me, I heard a lot of people say this is a strong number ones, but Duke's young. Houston loses every year as a number 1 seed.
Third straight season for Houston as a number 1 seed.
You just started off the show by saying no team that's lost 3 or 4 have ever won the title at Auburn. And then Florida's, to me, a bit of an unknown because they emerged out of this crazy SEC. It's hard for me to wrap my head around as Florida as a strong number 1 favorite. I understand they're playing awesome right now. But generally, to me, it doesn't seem like the ones are so much different than the 2s and 3s because look at the SEC. All year long, all these teams seem right at the same level.
So Florida wins the SEC title, and that's what, they're one of the hottest teams in the country. But here's the interesting thing about Florida. Florida, you could say, is in the West region. They might have the hardest bracket. They might be in the hardest region. And this is why I'll say that. Here are the coaching heavyweights who are in the West region alone. So obviously Todd Golden, who's the head coach of Florida, has now emerged. Can't wait for a month of that. He's emerged. You also, if Florida wins their first round against Norfolk State, which I'm assuming they're going to, then you could get Danny Hurley and UConn, who's had a really down season, but they're an 8 seed. You also have Maryland and the Crab 5. If you've not heard about this starting 5, they're electric, and they've logged more minutes together than any team in this tournament, so they've got the unity. You have Grand Canyon, who is coached by, why am I blanking on his name? Tournament hero. Hit the shot. Bryce Drew? No?
Is Bryce Drew the great?
Okay, check that for me as I'm doing this off the fly. Then you've got Texas Tech, really strong 3 seed in this tournament. Excuse me, Bryce Drew. Thank you. Can I also point you to the bottom half of this West region? So this is who Florida could eventually meet in the Elite 8. Some combination of this. The 7-10 matchup is Bill Self's underachieving Kansas team that could get hot at any moment with John Calipari's Arkansas squad, who could face Rick Pitino's St. John's Red Storm. So look at the coaching craziness in that bracket, and that's where I'm a little worried about Florida, Pearl.
Are you worried because they won't get to face John Calipari in the tournament? Or are you worried because they will get to face him?
Listen, I'm just talking about how many Hall of Famers are in this bracket in terms of coaches. That's pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, obviously, but so here's...
And not to mention Penny Hardaway with Memphis. Drake's coach has a really great reputation. So it's like it's a coaching. Kevin Willard coaches Maryland. I forgot to mention that with the Crab Five. Kevin Willard's a longtime Pitino acolyte. Like, there's just a lot of coaching power.
Right, so Self, Pitino, and Calipari will knock each other out. So Florida won't see any of the. We'll see one of those guys at most. Yeah, for me, it's funny. I have an easy bracket, a bracket where I'm like, oh my God, why are all? You're right. That bracket is really tough, and I love St. John's. The Midwest, they put all the tournament disappointers in one bracket. They're like, we're gonna get Houston Cougars through here finally, because how can you put Houston, Kentucky, and Purdue all together? Because I feel like those are the teams every year I pencil into the Final Four, and they, except for Purdue last year, they always lose early.
Yeah, that's why High Point, my guys from High Point.
Yeah, could this be a very low seed, or sorry, a high seed? Could they come out of this bracket? Because, and EJ Zags are in there too. This is a really, really interesting bracket where all the tough teams seem to be in the West, all the sort of vulnerable teams seem in the Midwest. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun trying to figure this out.
Poll question today, downgrading Duke because of the Cooper Flagg injury, 855-212-4227. And then sort of a toss-up here because, we're on all over the country. So we're going to try to hit a lot of these matchups here. But if you want to talk about your school and your team, give us a call at 855-212-4227. We'll talk about it. We should get to the drama of what happened yesterday with North Carolina. Now, I understand it's hard to get all up in arms about a blue blood like North Carolina making the tournament, but kind of exposed something about the selection process, Pearl, that was pretty unsavory. I think a lot of people had an issue with it. So 855-212-4227. We're going to get to that. We also have multiple announcements to make today. Are you ready for all this? We have our Pearl Jam Season 4 Bracket Challenge open for you now. It's happening, guys. Thanks to our super fan, Nick in Texas, who's from the Houston area. This is happening. So, EJ, where can people find Pearl Jam Season 4, the Maggie and Perloff Bracket Challenge?
If you go to our X account, the link to the Bracket Challenge, which is a CBSSports.com bracket, you can join. No money included or anything. Just join. You'll be able to compete against not just everybody on the show, but even family members of people on the show and everybody across the country who listen to Maggie and Perloff. Will be a fun time.
Okay, so it turns out that Perloff has recruited multiple family members. Your wife almost won this thing a year ago.
I have I went deep extended family, third cousins, second cousins. I don't even know if some of them aren't in the country. I went with every friend that I know is every text thread. I hit my Eagles text thread. I hit my Phillies text thread. I hit my high school friend text thread. They're all jumping in. So we're going to see some weird people in this bracket.
Amazing. You could not only beat Perloff, you could beat his friends and family.
Yeah,
I could beat a bunch of Eagles fans. I'm in.
Yeah. That actually, I was like, maybe I'll submit 2 brackets in this.
You could beat Sherm, famous Sherm, our wacky friend.
Go Birds.
Okay, great.
I'll just say, you could beat Bill, take him down.
Wait, who's your friend with the glass eye?
Oh, he's not in it. I reject that.
The one who lost his glass eye mid-coitus? What was his name? Oh, how am I forgetting his name?
I forgot it too.
Bruce.
There you go.
Bruce, the legendary Bruce. That's a story that will never be topped. Can't lose your eye when you're in the middle of getting busy. But Bruce did. And he popped it back in.
I've rejected. Now I feel bad about that. It's 4 years later telling that story, so I'm not jumping in on that one.
All-time story. Anyway, go and play the Maggie and Perloff Bracket Challenge. It's called Pearl Jam Season 4. We're thrilled that our pal Nick in Texas sets this up for us every year, and it's just a lot of fun. Also, because we're us, and we're silly, we have our Maggie and Perloff Wacky Bracket, which will be revealed around 8 o'clock Eastern time. This is as far away from basketball as could possibly be. I think we're all kind of loving our topic this year.
It's pretty good, but
it's pretty good.
It's going to cause a lot of issues. A lot of people are going to be mad.
I think you're an idiot.
Yep. People are going to be saying that a lot. All right, so what's our crazy bracket for this year? We're going to reveal that at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So go sign up. You can get the link at Maggie and Pearl on X. We'll put it out on our Instagram as well, Facebook, the whole thing. And come pick some games with us. 855-212-4227. Let's go.
All right, Maggie, there's so much to do this week. I mean, we have every kind of basketball. We have not just college basketball, but NBA is heating up. And the best place to enjoy it, Prize Picks. The best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Over 10 million members, billions of dollars in award winnings. Prize Pick has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. It's so simple to use. You pick 2 or more players across any sport. I'm looking at tonight. There's so many different options. You know, you got soccer, NHL, NBA, some sort of e-game. You pick 2 more players across any sport. Pick more or less on their projection. You can win up to 1,000 times your money.
Okay. Games start Tuesday, everybody. So if you haven't downloaded Prize Picks yet, I would set an alarm or something and do it right now because it's available to play in more than 40 states, including our friends in California and Texas. Just download the Prize Picks app today. Again, before Tuesday when March Madness, the first 4 starts, use the code MNP, get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code MNP on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Now, win or lose, you get the $50 in bonus credit just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game, must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Mand P.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show. All right, we want to hear your bracket strategy. And when I say we want to hear it, give me some insight here because I am struggling in certain spots. I love people. And by the way, it's really fun to watch the experts just get demolished in about 3 days, especially at ESPN. The confidence that our guys, Jay Billis, et cetera, have to watch them get crushed is enjoyable. That's the best part of the tournament. Just give us a call, 855-212-4227.
He's an idiot and a fool.
Yeah, Maggie, your strategy I already just tore apart. Pick the best player.
Yeah, I always pick the best player in the whole tournament and pick their team to win. It's worked once in the last 25 years. But actually, I'm sticking to it because, this is it's like goes to infinity, right? These data points. So it's like a roulette wheel.
Well, best player, define best player. Best player at 18, that's the thing. He might be the best player moving forward, Cooper Flagg. Is he? Yeah, he's probably the best player now. But regardless, that strategy doesn't work. I don't like it. I'm going old and strong.
And whatever you can call in and give for love to help them out.
That being said, they gave Duke a lot of favors, sending him up to Newark for the Elite Eight. They'll probably make the Final Four, and I'll eat my words. But I'm telling you, Maggie, freshman, not good.
Well, we're going to find out together, are we not? I mean, I'm curious what other people do here. I also had an instinct. I was just going to pick every 13-4 upset and every 12-5 upset, but I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of chalk with some of the experts. It's making me gun shy. Here's Shane in Louisville. Shane, what do you think about your Louisville Cardinals?
I thought it sucked, the seeding, to be honest with you. I don't know how in the hell Clemson gets a 5. We beat them twice. I thought we got really a bad seed, to say the least.
But you got a home game in the second round if you get the second round against Auburn.
Who cares? We got Creighton the first round, and then if we're lucky to get past them, we got to go against Auburn. I am like you guys. I do like St. John's and Duke in the tournament. Duke's got a walkthrough to the Final Four, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. In the SEC, we all know it's the best conference this year, right? Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I don't understand. You make the finals in the ACC championship game. You beat Clemson twice, and you get an 8 seed. I was thinking 5 or 6.
Hey,
it was terrible.
Shane, can I ask a question? How far away driving is Louisville from Lexington?
It's an hour. It's not that far. It's like driving to Cincinnati. It's just up the street.
Okay, the reason why I asked is because this game, your first game against Creighton, I believe, is Thursday at like 12:30 or something, right?
12:15.
12:15. Thank you. So, it's only an hour away. So I'm assuming the fans are going to have plenty of time, strategy-wise, to get there and make sure that is a legit home game for Louisville, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a home game. I'm just saying it's just a bad draw, though. I mean, look at Clemson's draw. And then also, we all can agree, how did North Carolina get in? I mean, if any team should be mad, it's West Virginia.
Yep.
They kind of got screwed on that. So.
I don't
anyway, thanks for taking my call.
You got it, Shane. Good luck to your Louisville Cardinals. Kind of got screwed. I mean, West Virginia 100% got screwed. And North Carolina, is a team that won 1-12 against the quad 1 wins, the ones that supposedly are the ones that matter, Perloff, as you sit here in your Tar Heels baby powder blue hat. I it's hard to get really angry about a blue blood making the tournament because it's almost like, does North Carolina get a Lifetime Achievement Award for being North Carolina? But when your athletic director is the selection committee chair, Bubba Cunningham, and while he does have to remove himself every time they're talking about North Carolina, he walks back into the room, like amongst all these friends, colleagues, peers, and it kind of looks like they did him a favor. They did him a solid. And you don't love that. That you don't want the appearance that this is purely a television show. Because to be honest, the NCAA tournament doesn't need North Carolina to be a great tournament.
Well, you need some AD to be the chair, right? So you're going to have to pick somebody.
I get it.
Are you just going to have somebody completely from the outside? Are you going to bring in Condoleezza Rice to be the chair? So somebody's got to be the chair. So are you saying the formula of having a chair from a school is broken?
I think probably.
And volunteer as tribute.
EJ wants the job. I think that this looks bad for the NCAA tournament. Does it not?
Well, first of all, thank God that UNC's in there because they're so entertaining. You watch a Duke game, like we want the people are so mad about this
violation to end the game.
But everybody wants Tar Heels wants to watch them. They would rate way higher than West Virginia. My Tar Heels, and I love this. I think it's a bit of selective outrage. Like everyone's furious about West Virginia. Give me a break.
It's been a long 28 minutes, EJ.
Give me a break. Everyone's all of a sudden walking in outrage. If some other team had gotten in over West Virginia, would we be as mad?
If Pitino didn't deserve it like North Carolina, yeah.
I think it's because they're a blue blood and because they have the overall chair.
But isn't it also, though, kind of like with the college football playoff, is the committee says one thing, but then in application, it does something different. So West Virginia can beat good teams in the Big 12, beat a Gonzaga in a neutral site. Carolina can beat nobody. They played the tough schedule, but beat nobody and still get in.
And last year, they left people out because they didn't have enough quad one wins. And now North Carolina has one of them, and they get in.
So what they're going to do and what they've said is that they have all these other metrics. It's like the advanced stats. They're just going to stat you to death with a wob and a bob and a rob.
The new one, wins above bubble. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, it sounds made up. But anyway,
it is.
The Tar Heels were ranked 33rd in terms of metrics like the KenPom.com. I feel like an idiot even saying this.
It's
and
West Virginia. That's a metric that's the only metric that most college basketball fans know. It's been around forever.
At the same time, though, then again, it's an application, right? Because then if KenPom and net is a big deal, then not to be a homer, why is Gonzaga an 8 seed? They were 8 in the KenPom and 8 in the net. Like, they're one of the top teams on all those metrics. But they looked at Gonzaga's schedule, and to credit, I'm not even blaming them. They looked at the Gonzaga schedule and say, well, they didn't play up to their numbers, so therefore we're going to dock them. Carolina doesn't play up to their numbers, but they get in. It doesn't add up to me.
You could also just go with something simple like West Virginia beat Gonzaga, Arizona, Kansas, and Iowa State and still didn't find themselves in this tournament. That'd be the easy thing to say. And yeah, I didn't see a lot of people stumping for West Virginia because they lost to Colorado and they had some bad losses as well. But so did North Carolina. They lost to Stanford. That's a quad 3 loss from what I'm being told and what I've read. So here's the thing. I hate when the NCAA tournament is treated purely like a television show, right? And I know it is. But you don't need that to sell this tournament. This is when we get this BS with college football and the college football playoff and who's in because of who's going to rate higher. The ratings for the NCAA tournament for this next month, don't worry. They're going to be fine. And if it's all about the final game anyway, we have no control over that. And North Carolina wouldn't be making that anyway. So to me, I don't like it when they get too cute and try to get these blue bloods in because they think it's going to goose the ratings. When newsflash, we're watching this tournament anyway. Everybody's watching it. You don't have to worry about that.
Well, you have to pick a lane here. Are you mad because you think it was a television product or because the chair was from North Carolina? Which
both.
one?
And by the way,
I don't think you could have both.
I'm a little like I've seen this guy many times, Bubba Cunningham, because obviously he hired Bill Belichick, and you're the athletic director at North Carolina, so you're very visible. Doesn't look like a Bubba to me.
That seems a little personal.
I'm just saying, when you think of a Bubba, do you think of someone who looks like he's at the country club, or does it look like somebody who's like changing the oil in your car?
Fair.
I want my Bubbas to be like a little more blue collar.
A little pudgier, too.
Something.
Perloff just stepped away from the microphone.
I don't know what this take's all about, but I'm going to stay away from what Maggie wants her Bubbas to look like. Bubba Watson looks like different.
That's
He
what I
looks
said.
like a Bubba.
He looks like a Bubba.
Yeah, it kind of does.
He
yeah.
looks like a
But he
Bubba.
has those fancy watches, so that's not very. He's not pumping gas.
No,
Not
but
very Bubba-like.
I'm with you on this, Maggie. If your nickname is Fats, you got to be skinny. If you're slim, you got to be fat. There are rules
To these
in this-
nicknames.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
But
feel like
often
Bubba,
it's-
you got to look a little bit more grizzled.
Yeah.
You got to be selling me shrimp with Forrest Gump.
A little on the nose.
You know, when I got fooled by this, when I first came here to CBS Sports Radio, Mike Samter's Twitter handle was Big Mike at CBS. And I said to Maggie, like, this new producer, Mike Samter, he's huge, right? I'm a little intimidated by this. And he turned out he was 5'6".
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's probably generous.
So
Yeah,
I think
was
you
gonna
could,
say,
if
we
you're
once
slim,
shoved him in a box and pushed the box over.
you can
the
go
whole-
ironic with the name.
You almost
I
have
put
to
my
go
tongue
ironic.
in that thing.
Anyway, Bill's in Houston. Bill, what's your strategy to filling out your bracket?
Not a very good one, but I do have a strategy. If I have no inside, I pick the higher seed. I pick 2 or 3 upsets, 5-12s in the first round. I pick East Coast over West Coast, and I will never pick Duke. I hate Duke. That's the 4 parts of my strategy. On a side note, we do help our dog fill out a bracket, and we can't pick any cat teams or bird teams. She is the only one that picked Maryland, Baltimore County Retrievers, a 16 over a 1, so she has that.
Yes, that was a historic upset. The first ever
Yeah.
16 to upset a 1, and they beat Virginia. Wait, Bill, and by the way, anyone in your family, and particularly your dog, we'd be honored if you would enter a bracket in the Maggie and Perloff Pearl Jam Season 4. You can go to our social media channels and find the link.
Bill, don't do it. You sound like you have a good strategy. I don't want you in there. Why would you not have Bill in there? He's going to whoop us.
I'm there. I love your show. Thanks a
Hey,
lot.
Bill, why did you pick the East over the West? That seemed pretty. Is that a thing? I never even thought about that. But I'm looking at the list of Final Fours, and there's a lot of East in there.
Well, I guess in the later rounds, I would never pick Gonzaga.
This is an anti-Gonzaga take.
Beat it, Bill.
All right, Bill, thanks. Hope to see you and your dog.
Wait, aren't the Zags the Bulldogs?
They are.
They are, so he's got to pick them.
So, I mean-
Disrespecting his own dog. Shame.
I wonder how far he has Drake going. They're the Bulldogs.
Probably pretty far.
Can I be a non-dog person and dissect his initial sentence of we helped our dog fill it out?
Yeah,
You
I get that.
You didn't help your dog. You did it
How do you know?
as your dog.
You don't know.
No.
You
Fido's
don't know.
Fido's not having a tough time between Iowa State and,
You've seen
and
those
Lamar.
fishes and those,
No.
octopuses that
You didn't help
take
your
games
dog.
and stuff.
Your
But
dog
how
was
do you-
making some decision. You did the other
How do
one.
you, how do you know
no,
he
no.
doesn't do what Laura Rutledge does with her daughter, where you throw something at him and then they hit the ball in a certain hoop or something?
I'll begin with that's her daughter, and she's
You mean a human?
Yeah.
No, dogs. I've seen dogs
With a
do
brain.
that too.
Yeah, but we don't know what dogs are picking between when they look at or go to the Red Bowl or the Blue Bowl.
I think
Bogusch,
dogs are colorblind.
Bogusch, I have a question. Number
Please.
1, what's your problem? Number 2, why do you hate dogs?
Same answer.
I got to be honest. I'm in a deep dive on what I didn't know what High Point's mascot was. They're the Panthers, so I guess
Cats,
they're out.
they're out.
They're out. Maggie, your
Well,
Panthers
only if
are
you're
out.
a dog are they out.
Well, now I'm going to go opposite Bill, and I'm only going to pick cats and birds.
Well, how's that going to work out for Kentucky? Not as good.
Well, I like my Yale Bulldogs, by the way. Bulldogs.
You're a Yale Bulldogs. You went to Dartmouth.
They are
Our Ivy
massive
League
rivalry.
represent.
Wait, which of the 8 Ivy League schools did you not know was an Ivy League school?
Cornell.
Cornell.
Oh, that's
I
because
mean,
Prof was just being a
Cornell
jerk on
against
the text
Dartmouth.
thread.
Yeah, Maggie was bad because her husband went there. I could tell that. I could sense the anger coming
Listen,
from New
no
Jersey.
one makes fun of my husband's alma mater more than me.
The way Perloff was disrespecting people in the text was ridiculous.
It
He
was
sent that
bad.
shot, and you don't even see the text he sent me and Manny. He was
Yeah,
like, "Hey,
dude.
how about that Knicks game last night?"
Oh. I
I'm
sent them
like,
at 11 o'clock on Saturday night a bunch of sleep emojis, Z's, because Draymond, of all people at 110 years old,
fat mouth.
blew by them for the winning basket.
Perloff's
It was the
trolling.
funniest game I've ever seen.
It doesn't stop. Well, it's not just a 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern Monday through Friday thing.
A
It's
reminder that the Sixers are 6-60.
Yeah, I know, but I do tell them the trump card that I used.
He's gonna just keep saying, "Well, my Eagles are Super Bowl champs." So
Yeah.
what are you gonna say?
Yeah,
It's so
it does.
annoying.
It is one thing. I mean,
You idiots wanted
I did
this.
nothing to help the Eagles win the Super Bowl, but I got to tell you, this is a great trump
Look
card.
at what you guys created.
who?
It's not me. Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift created this. I didn't do nothing.
I love that you guys are all wearing green for my birds today. I really appreciate that.
All right. Well,
No, we
now
just need
I'm
a
gonna
little
have
luck
to-
of the Irish. Bogues, headlines on this fine Monday?
Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com.
Joe Barrows.
The Bengals stopped their madness overnight, finally signing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to extensions. As the team's been promising, Chase is the new highest QB non-paid with a reported $40.25 million annual average over 4 years. We believe Chase is guaranteed $112 million. Higgins' deal, 4 years, $115 million max. The first 2 years said to be fully guaranteed, but the exact dollar amount not reported just yet. And out of those brackets where Auburn, Duke, Houston, and Florida, plus UCLA, South Carolina, USC, and Texas are your men's and women's 1 seeds. The Bruins have never been the top overall seed before. Now, the men's madness begins tomorrow in Dayton. St. Francis, PA against Alabama State, then North Carolina and San Diego State. Auburn and Ole Miss waiting on those winners. Anthony Edwards and his T-Wolves still red hot.
Out of midcourt, he's guarded by Filipowski. He'll stop, he'll pop on the pull-up three and hit again! I told you the straightaway three. He's shooting 46% on that shot. He's hit 2 straight from there. He's got 16 in the quarter. He's got 41 for the game.
Alan Horton, T-Wolves Radio. Edwards didn't score again. Didn't need to. Stayed on 41. Minnesota taking care of the Jazz, 128-102 for an 8-game win streak. Edwards crediting a team meeting with this message from head coach Chris Finch.
Hey, y'all, either we're going to come together as a team and push for the playoffs, or we're going to keep looking for individual stats and accolades and not be a team and lose the games we're supposed to win and be fighting for a playoff position. So I think we all locked in right now collectively, and it looks good.
The T-Wolves currently lose a tie with those Warriors for the 6th seed in the West.
Folks, when you're calling games, do you ever do that where you say, I told you to cover that guy there?
I'm usually not right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that. It was very informal. It's like two friends watching a game. Hey, I told you, watch out for Anthony at the top of the key.
The Thunder, a 121-105 win in Milwaukee, 31 more points for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And in the afternoon yesterday, Orlando snapped Cleveland's team record 16-game win streak, 108-103.
Sean Gilgeous-Alexander.
Mookie Betts will miss the Dodgers and Cubs 2-game season-opening series in Tokyo tomorrow and Wednesday. After battling the flu, L.A. says Betts is feeling better, but has lost 15 pounds.
What?
Yeah.
That's coming out of both ends then.
Messi was
Oh, my gosh.
He doesn't have that many pounds to lose either. He's kind of a trim guy.
He's like 145 pounds.
Hence, not playing the next 2 days.
Are they right about that? 15 pounds. He should be in the hospital. Anyway, back to you.
What'd you eat, bro?
Messi was back in Inter Miami starting 11 last night.
Is that right?
Scored the 20th minute of a 2-1 win at Atlanta United. Back to you guys.
Okay. We're asking you, what's your strategy to filling out an NCAA tournament bracket? We remind you, go to our social channels, Maggie and Pearl on X, Instagram, Facebook. We're everywhere, and you can join our bracket challenge. It's Pearl Jam Season 4. Thank you to our pal Nick in Texas for setting all that up. We see you guys on the phones coming up. What coach has the most at stake as the tournament's going to get underway in about 48 hours? It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Perloff reacting to the men's and women's brackets that were released yesterday. Fantastic time of year. Tournament is upon us. If you want to play against us, you can do it. Pearl Jam Season 4 is live right now. You can find the bracket in all of our social channels, Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, links in the bio. Come play the Maggie and Perloff Bracket Challenge. We're going to have a lot of fun. We have a to-be-determined reveal to give you guys in terms of what's going to be bestowed upon the winner. Lots of fun stuff. So come and play our bracket challenge. Again, find it in all of our social channels. Carrie is in Dallas. Carrie, you're calling your shot. Who do you love in this tournament?
Yeah, I'm going to take the old folks, and I'm going to go with Auburn. And then I'm going to go with those funky lady frogs. TCU, baby.
You know, Haley Van Lith, obviously, she's been fantastic as the, what is she, a fifth-year senior, Van Lith? She came to TCU. She immediately won Most Outstanding Player of the conference tournament. She's newcomer of the year, Pearl. We saw all the things she was able to do in this amazing career she's had, and now she's got the Horned Frogs in places they haven't been, I don't think, in 20 years.
Yeah, you could get them at 40-1 right now to win it all. That's pretty good. South Carolina, heavy favorite. I'm going with my gal, Dawn Staley, representing Philly, another team that I claim.
Perloff can't keep track. Carrie, thank you for the call of how many teams he's currently backing
I'm pretty
in the men's women's bracket.
I've always rooted for Philadelphia teams in the NCAA tournament. We don't really have much going on this year, so I'm having to stretch my legs here and find other teams.
Yeah, you literally have nothing, right? And the Villanova coach got fired over the weekend, so you're looking for a new head coach.
Yeah, Penn's out, LaSalle's out, St. Joe's out, Temple. What happened to my Temple Owls? So we got Dawn Staley, who's actually a living god in Philadelphia.
She is upset, by the way, they didn't get an overall number 1 seed. Says they're going to rethink scheduling.
I was telling Maggie, I watched the women's selection show in South Carolina. The Gamecocks were sitting there. Oh, man, did they look cocky and ready to go. I'm picking them all the way.
I mean, listen, they lost 3 games this year. So you could say, yeah, I also think that Coach Staley is brilliant when she needs bulletin board material. She said this isn't bulletin board material. It is bulletin board material. They're going to use whatever they can as the reigning national champs to try to fire up her team. So saying you got snubbed from the number 1 overall seed when UCLA spent how many weeks at number 1? I mean, this was not a shock that UCLA got the number 1 overall seed.
And UCLA beat them head-to-head. So
yeah,
it's
UCLA lost twice.
And to the same team.
Yeah, USC, right? And then beat them in the conference championship. James is in Los Angeles. James, what's your bracket strategy?
Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing this morning?
We're great.
I'm glad y'all mentioned UCLA. I listened to all this East Coast love y'all got. Y'all got to show, West Coast. We out here too. Y'all got to give us some love, man.
EJ's got a Gonzaga Bulldog shirt on right now. He's your number 1
That's right.
West Coast champ.
My man got a North Carolina hat on. I'm like, man, y'all don't say nothing about the West Coast out there. But anyway,
just doing that to troll.
I got a couple of them. I always pick the team that came in second. So like, Bama lost to Florida, Clemson lost to Duke. But I think that those second-tier teams in the regular season are going to come out firing, and I always use that. Plus, I go West Coast, San Diego State almost got there. They were a couple buckets until UConn exploded in that second half, and then UCLA and Gonzaga both been there, so I kind of root with them. But, hey, I got a question for y'all, though.
Yeah.
Me and my boys was talking about what is that line cut off at the West Coast? I think it goes from, Idaho to New Mexico. But they was trying to include, Austin, part of Texas in there. And I'm like, that's not the West Coast, that's the South. And they go, nah, the South is Bama, this and that. So, we kind of ignorant out here in California. Maybe y'all can figure it out.
Oh, James, that's awesome. Let's do geography, one of the strong suits of this show. Thank you for the call. I like your was James saying it's runner-up in the conference or the conference tournament that he likes?
I think kind of both. But yeah, he meant when he called, he meant the conference.
Okay,
so
not the 2 seeds.
Yeah, like Clemson, for example, is a team he said he likes because they finished second in the ACC.
So not 2 seeds, not just I'm going with Tennessee and
what
St.
you did
John's.
in the conference.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a pretty good argument that
like
Texas is on the West Coast.
Yeah,
never
let's
heard
talk
that
about
one.
this. I've never heard of Texas as the West Coast.
Because it's not.
I also
But
don't.
we also consider the Wild Wild West, though, which is weird.
But
yeah,
it's funny.
in 1842.
Just saying.
I don't know if people in Texas refer to themselves as the South.
No.
Texas is its own thing.
There's the South, there's the West Coast, and Texas does not fit either.
Right. And I think people, like my best friend's from Dallas, and I think would kind of say they're in the South, but it's more just I'm from Texas.
But it's weird, though, because, not to take everything to rap, but in rap, if you're from Texas, that's a Southern rapper. And they would consider themselves Southern rappers. Like UGK, a Chameleonaire, those are Southern rappers.
All right, so maybe that's how we're divvying up the map here.
That's how. But once they said once that happened, I said, okay, for now, forever, Texas, you're the South.
Texas does align politically with the South, but I don't know. They feel because they're in the middle of the country too. Also, Dallas and Houston and all even within Texas, you have different regions. They're so far apart.
Yeah, I kind of like what James said, though. You're starting with, what did he say, Idaho?
Idaho, everything west of Idaho.
Right, like an Idaho, Nevada, Washington, Oregon, California, Arizona for sure. What do you do with Utah and New Mexico?
I think Arizona is also the west, too. So
Definitely.
I would start, so I would say west of Colorado.
That's Pacific what I was thinking.
You just do Pacific
Or
time.
just everyone in Pacific time?
Well, yeah, but now
Arizona's weird with their daylight savings, aren't they?
And now
Yes,
Arizona's in the
They don't recognize daylight
Big
savings.
12.
Yeah, it's tough.
I don't know.
This is a great question.
Where does the West Coast start?
I think this theme of the show, that pick the guy who called in and said pick the East Coast over the West Coast.
Never heard that before.
But the San Diego State run a couple years ago makes me nervous about that.
I mean, people like to joke about Gonzaga, but I mean, multiple Final Fours. Matthew hasn't
9
lost.
straight Sweet 16.
Yeah, he hasn't lost a second-round game in a decade. So they do go deep. They just don't win it all.
Jay's in Nashville. Jay, what's good, man?
All right, since we're getting geographical, I called about something different, but we're classes in session. Okay, first of all, the West Coast the way the caller's right. West Coast, like, it starts probably when you get to Arizona. You can almost throw like Colorado in there, almost, but really, you want to go to Arizona, Nevada. And you can, and really, a lot of West Coasters, we judge the West Coast by where you can find your best weed at. So you can go all the way, go up to
So
Idaho,
not Utah,
and Seattle, and up there. You know what I mean? But and as far as Texas is the size.
Off the weed.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, on cue. But let me tell you, Texas is the size of freaking Iraq. So Texas is Texas. You know what I mean? It's just like when you talk about Florida. Florida's in the South, but you know what? Florida is Florida.
Yeah, I think Florida's its own thing. I used to think that about Louisiana, too, but Louisiana is the South. Listen, and also Texas is kind of in the middle of the country, but South, you know?
Yeah, Texas is its own republic, so they're,
Can't put them in a box. I agree with you. It's funny, if we're going to go by, like, the marijuana part of this, then I think you got to leave Utah out because I don't think people are readily getting any marijuana there.
The weed.
I don't
Utah's
know.
mountain, obviously, right? Nobody thinks Utah is a West Coast.
They have deserts, though.
And they were in the Pac-12 forever.
Yeah, but they're like classic mountain area.
LA has mountains.
Thank you, Jay. What do you do with Wyoming?
That's a hell of a question. I've been asking myself about Montana.
I think Montana is West Coast.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man, guys, I've been watching a lot of Yellowstone lately. We'll get into that another time. 855-212-4227. All right, we're getting into what coach has the most at stake in the NCAA tournament. And tell us, what's your strategy for filling out your bracket?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Brackets out. Top 4 seeds looking strong. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So you have Auburn as your number 1 overall seed, then Duke, Houston, and Florida. And Perloff, I ask you this question as we're asking you today. What is your strategy for filling out the bracket? Now, I've told you I pick the best player in the tournament and I roll with them. It's not worked a lot, but that's my strategy. Also, you got to go with the big upsets, the 13 seeds over the 4s, obviously the 12-5s. Here's a question for you, though. Yeah. Could you go with coach who has the most to lose? Is it possible one of your strategies besides cats over dogs or birds over fish or whatever you want to do could also be the coach that's feeling the most vulnerable right now?
Give me an example of historically how that has worked out.
Well, I don't have for you, but I will tell you in this tournament.
The reason they're vulnerable is because they probably aren't that great. So I would go the other way.
I would tell you in this tournament, the one coach that I think has the most to lose and the one who's feeling the heat the most has got to be Hubert Davis of North Carolina. This is the one team that universally we are saying should not be in this tournament. The team that looked like they got an assist because A, the brand, B, they did play a lot of the good teams, but they lost basically to all of them. And 3, they had their athletic director was the chairman of the selection committee. Now, he had to recuse himself every time they were talking about North Carolina, but as I saw someone tweet, I forgot who put this out there. He's there when they roll in the Sunday bar, kind of implying he's got a lot of connections in the room. So to me, if the North Carolina Tar Heels lose in the first 4 to San Diego State, it's just going to validate and solidify what everyone thinks, which is they got a leg up just because they're a blue blood or whatever. They got an assist and they should not be in the field.
Well, to be fair, they took Duke, who's the number 2 seed in the entire thing, to the limit in the ACC tournament.
No Flagg, no Brown, not as good of a win there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
They
Duke
lost
went on a
3
run.
times to Duke this year.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. Obviously, they're playing in. I'm just saying they're not that ridiculous. I think there's a little bit. If it wasn't that Bubba Cunningham was the overall chair, and you have a 30-something, what is it? What's their Ken Palm? 33, 31?
Something like that.
And West Virginia's 51, it would not be as controversial. I think they're getting more attention, ironically, because they're a blue blood and because they're North Carolina and because we all want to see them. If it was just some other team over West Virginia, I don't think it would cause all this furor. Because it has been the story of Sunday night and Monday morning is college basketball writers are so upset by this. But to me, it doesn't seem that egregious when you have this gaudy Ken Palm number. And I know they're 1-12 against quad 1 teams, but what about quad 2, Maggie? I say that because I've never heard more people say quad 1 and quad 2 like it's something that's part of their normal vocabulary than this 2-day period.
Well, this is the time of year when you got to break out the quad 1 and the quad 2. Here's the thing about quad 2 wins. Those are not teams that have made the tournament. So congrats. You went like 8-0 against quad 2s. All of those teams are going to the NIT and the CBT and the HGH. I don't even know what they're called.
SAT.
Yeah.
THC.
Whatever you want. THC, that's good for our show. But I'm just saying the quad 2s don't matter. And by the way, the North Carolina Tar Heels also have a quad 3 loss. So,
when did the quad? All right, real talk. When did the quad start? Anyone know?
It's been around for a while. It's been years ago.
10 years?
I saw the net started in 2018, and that everyone talks about like it's been around for 40 years, the net ranking. I'm not sure the quad has been around that long, but everyone's saying quad 1 with this 1-12 quad 1, like it flows off their tongues. Anyway. But again, don't you think this is just North Carolina hate, and because they're so visible?
I think it's a little of that. I think it's a little of but like North Carolina to me is not as polarizing as Duke. North Carolina is the state school, has always been a little, I don't say more likable. Yeah. You can definitely root against guys, but they're not as polarizing because they don't seem as
preppy and obnoxious as Duke? Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. So there you go. So that's number one.
Yeah, everybody. Duke is the most polarizing team in the sport, obviously.
And I think you have the fact that the athletic director is the head of the selection committee, I think is rubbing people the wrong way. Now, that just happens to be like that's just like how it landed this year. No one thought that North Carolina was going to be this disappointing. But I think Hubert Davis is the coach who's now feeling the most pressure to at least get to what? You got to win at least 2 games?
Well, that being said, I mean, what if he didn't make the tournament?
That would be a lot of pressure, too. Now, listen, the guy went to the national championship game a few years ago, but that was the first year after Roy Williams retired. You could say it was Roy's guys.
No, I know. And everybody kind of likes Hubert Davis, so it's weird. It would have been, missing the tournament 2 times in 3 years? Yeah, I don't know, though, if they have to. It feels weird saying there's a lot of pressure on that low of a seed, though. You're saying like he loses, he's out?
Who do you think is facing the most pressure? Which coach?
Well, I mean, I think there's pressure on Shire because he's still talking about it being in the shadow. If he disappoints again, I think there's definitely pressure on Houston and Sampson. I mean, like, how many times are we going to be at 1 seed?
Kelvin Sampson, I can see that too. The one thing about Kelvin Sampson, though, I think they feel so lucky to have him at Houston. Like, he turned around a bottom feeder program, like a once proud program that had fell into hard times, and he has sort of gotten them out, and the transition into the Big 12. I think they love Kelvin Sampson, even though you're right. This is the 3rd straight year with a 1 seed, and, when are you going to win it all?
Yeah, do you have any, I mean, listen, Bruce Pearl disappointed last year.
Yeah, lost to Yale in the first round.
This feels like a completely different team. I feel like the old guys, the famous guys, a lot of them are kind of playing with house money a little bit. Pitino, no one thought they would get this good this fast, right? Just say Johns. Calipari just got to Arkansas. Bill Self, he's already proven that he is a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure that these old guys, do they have a lot to prove? We started this by talking about coaches with a lot to prove. I feel like nothing but good things were coming for Rick Pitino.
Well, just wait 5 minutes.
I mean, if they lose,
I don't know, Rick Pitino.
Do you think that people kill them for losing?
Oh, no. I'm just saying, like, you can't get in trouble for the same old type of violations that you used to, like that Rick Pitino got fired from Louisville for. Taking bribes from sneaker companies to direct your players to side with them once they get into the NBA. A little more of a gray area now, but people did go to jail for that kind of thing not that long ago. So, listen, Pitino can always find the rake. And I don't know if maybe he's much older now and maybe he's a little less, there's just fewer violations and fewer ways to get in trouble in college basketball. But Pitino's never far from a scandal.
Yeah, but nobody cares about college scandal. I mean, Yahoo's trying to keep that thing alive. Players should get paid. That's the bottom line. So I'm not worried about that. My question is, if he loses in the second round, it's just a massive, massive letdown.
Yep. And imagine Pitino versus Calipari. That would be the second round matchup. If St. John's beats Omaha in the first round, and if Arkansas can beat Kansas, who is having a very down year by their standards for sure. If Calipari can beat Bill Self in Kansas, and that sets up Pitino and Calipari, the former in-state rivals with each other, Kentucky, Louisville, and from what I understand, these two dudes despise each other. So that could be very fun.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, so that's happening in the West region. It would happen in Providence, which is funny and I guess ironic because that's one of the places where Rick Pitino really made his name.
The funny thing is, too, Pitino's on a victory tour. He's just...
This dude.
He is... letting everyone know he's back. He's actually very funny in some of these press conferences. I don't know if you've got to watch him, but he is just... I've never seen a guy whose head is held higher than Rick Pitino right now.
No, 6 different team that he's now taken to an NCAA tournament. It's a huge accomplishment. Forgive me, though. I find it hard to root for Rick Pitino still. And again, I know that some of these scandals maybe sound quaint at this point. It's like, oh, haha, pat on the head. That was a different college basketball. But Pitino's had many. And, I know college basketball coaches and college football coaches, they all lie about how they're never going to leave this place, and then they do. Said he was never going to leave Iona, then he leaves for St. John's, and I don't know. There's just something that's always been unsavory to me about Rick Pitino. He's an all-time legendary coach, but he gives me the ick, if you will, what the kids say today. So I'm rooting for the players. The players, I think, have done an amazing job, but I can't count myself as some big Rick Pitino fan.
Any more than any 90s or 2000s college basketball coach?
Well, again, like some of the scandals seem quaint, like what Calvin Sampson. I mean, that wouldn't even pass the smell test today for what he got in trouble for. But I don't, Bill Self and Sean Miller and Calipari and Will Wade and these guys where people went to jail to cover because they couldn't nail the coaches, so they nailed these lower level sort of bagmen, and they were taking bribes from the sneaker companies. It's a little gross to me.
Yeah, to me it was gross that they didn't pay these players. That I think the administrators were super gross. That
doesn't excuse the coaches for breaking the law.
People, but the people who went over after those people for breaking the law were scumbags too, in my opinion. This was a gigantic system to funnel the money to the wrong people in this sport. And
the coaches, though, made a lot of money off of that.
Yeah, I know, but none of those guys...
They're not innocent in this.
Going to jail for this, it was so stupid. I mean, this entire sport was a gigantic scam for 100 years. So I can't get my gander up for some college basketball recruiting scandal. They should have been paying these players forever.
What about the prostitutes though to the dorm?
Yeah, the prostitutes in the dorm named after his brother-in-law who died in 9/11. To say you didn't know anything about this when the guy who was paying these women said you knew. I can't get there with Pitino. Again, happy for the students or happy for the players. It's nothing against them. I just find him a little hard to root for.
Listen, as a former JV player, it's competitive to get us to come to your school.
By any means necessary.
My knowledge of all this, of course, is from He Got Game when Jesus Shuttleworth had 2 women. Well, honestly, if you had if they had just paid the players, they wouldn't have to use these things like prostitutes coming in the dorm to get people there. It was a totally corrupt system. It still is corrupt in many ways. So I'm not, again, I do not like going back and killing. I look at Pitino at these press conferences. I think people are with me. I don't think the outrage is still there. It almost feels like because of his age, too,
and
that everyone's forgiven him.
He's Rick Pitino. I mean, he walks into a room. He's got so much gravitas. He's got had so much success. Believe me, I'm in the minority here. I can't.
I mean, John Wooden cheated, and he's considered the greatest coach of all time. He had a bag man. Everybody knows about it.
I get that. But with Pitino, it's multiple different scandals of every type of flavor and variety. So, forgive me.
Don't forget the Italian restaurant, too.
I wish I could forget the Italian restaurant.
That's the only one I remember, by the way. I don't even know the other scandals.
The fact that we know the place and, how that went down with Pitino had an affair and, was... what had a relation.
It was a quick affair. Let's put it that way.
That's what she said. Again, how do we know all this? And you're still going to be like, yeah, Pitino.
That guy's a movie character.
Isn't he, though?
It's insane.
Where is the movie about Pitino? I'm sure it's coming.
It's coming. Oh, especially with this. St. John's wins a championship or goes to the Final Four, that movie is being written today.
I'll tell you what. I was at the final St. John's home game when he came out in that white suit. The Garden erupted. The Garden loves that dude.
That Colonel Sanders suit that he's been rocking for a while. They love that one. 855-212-4227. Okay. Put Pitino aside for a second. They're the 2 seed in the West region, open with Omaha, and then if they get past that, it's the winner of Kansas and Arkansas. So really, really cool coaching matchup. Multiple Hall of Famers. You can play along with us. You can try to beat us. And the reason you can do that is because our pal Nick in Texas is, again, the proprietor of Pearl Jam. Now we're up to season 4. He created the bracket. You can get it on all of our social media channels right now. And Nick joins us from his home in Texas. Nick, how you doing, pal? I can't believe we're at season 4 of the Pearl Jam. This is nuts.
Good morning. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Are you feeling lucky today?
Yes. And feeling lucky and feeling grateful, Nick, that you're with us for another year to do this because this was your brainchild, this was your baby, and it's only grown every single season.
Yeah, so this should be the biggest year that we've had in this last 4 years. So it's very exciting. Season 4 of Pearl Jam. It's live. It's up and going on all the platforms like you mentioned. So we got it up and going. So, yeah, let's test your luck. Let's get as many people as we can in there. Grab your grandma, grab your grandpa, grab everybody you know. Let's get everybody in these brackets.
Your pets?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna take your grandma down in this one. She can join, but get ready to lose. Yeah, so Nick, how you feeling about your bracket this year? Are you gonna you've never won. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I put in my picks. It looks like I keep ending up with University of Houston, so they looked tough the other night versus Arizona. So I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to roll with them this year.
Hey, Nick, we're debating, is Texas part of the South? You are from Texas.
Nick's from Iowa, aren't you? And you live in Texas.
Correct, yes.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Iowa. So, yeah, let's just go with it. Yes, down in the South is exactly where it's at. Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
We had a big question about geography. Nick, here's the most important question. Are your boys going to fill out brackets, and have they done it already?
They are. They're actually excited to participate this year. They're understanding a little bit more. My youngest wanted to play basketball this year, so he's been paying attention a little bit more. So, yeah, we'll get a couple more of participants with my boys, but let's try to blow it out this year. I'm really excited. They came up with a great logo I saw, so I'm very, very stoked for this year's season 4.
Nick, it's awesome. We still have a special yet-to-be-revealed prize for the winner of Maggie and Perloff, Pearl Jam season 4. The bracket is live. Nick, you're the best. Thanks so much for doing this, man. I know it's a labor of love for you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, tell your family we said hi. And thank you to Andrew Kaplan, who came up with a great logo for Pearl Jam Season 4. Live now all over the Maggie and Perloff social channels. Come get some.
Yeah, this is a stressful time of year because our names are on this bracket, and we got to show up this year, Mag. Maybe we should collaborate.
No,
this is my plan. Not collaborate. We'll definitely. Oh, okay. Like you're some expert.
No, I'm
here.
not. I think I've come in bottom 10 every single year.
So I'll take one Final Four, and you take another Final Four. One of us has to represent here. One of us has to be alive on the final weekend.
I don't know. Sometimes I find the more that I think about this, the worse I do.
You're penciling Duke into that champions box here at the end. That feels. I mean, listen, Duke's got an easy bracket. They should be in the Final Four, but it is. There are some hard choices. When you actually sit and put pen to paper, it's kind of hard to see. You know, you always have trouble seeing the one seeds lose, but we know Auburn is really good. We know Florida's really good. Houston, they are tough and talented. LJ Cryer, EJ and I were just talking about that. He's already won a title at Baylor 15 years ago.
Still in college basketball.
Mark Sears is like 34 years old in Alabama. There are some. That's why I like my old guy theory. I am combing these brackets to find the oldest players. It's really funny that you get now with the COVID year, you get guys who are 23, 24. Cooper Flagg he just turned 18.
Yep, he did. So my bracket strategy is I pick the best player in the tournament and I go with them. But I'm thinking about adding 2 new things this year, 2 new wrinkles.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to just pick every 13 seed over the 4 seed, and I'm going to pick every 12 over the 5. And I think that's going to cover my bases as far as upsets are concerned. Just go big.
That means you're going to have to knock out Michigan, though, who really shouldn't be a 5.
I don't think Michigan should be a 5. You
Also,
just won the Big Ten tournament, and Wisconsin lost, and Wisconsin seeded 3, and Michigan's 5.
Also, I saw on the selection show, Oregon's never loses in this spot. Oregon's really good in the first round.
Dana Altman, his ability to be a chameleon as the head coach makes it very hard to beat them.
I know. Yeah. And I know we have all of our fans in Eugene and Portland, and I hate to go against them. I'm just saying blanket strategy.
You're wearing Oregon green, Maggie.
I know. Well, everyone's wearing green today.
Also, last year, McNeese was everybody. Remember we all were in the McNeese?
Yeah, and guess what happened?
They lost. They lost.
My Zags, and they got crushed.
Yeah, and now they're playing a pretty good team in Clemson. Okay, I think you should stick with this strategy.
Well, I love High Point. That's where this all really started. But now Seth Davis was on. I called the High Point thing like a week or two ago. Seth Davis on the selection show last night picked High Point to go to the Elite 8. I was like, Seth, stop stealing my takes.
I think we had the call that had the best strategy. I'm going with James in LA. That second
place,
picking that second place conference team is very smart. A lot of those teams lost in the conference tournament, which means they didn't wear their guys out for a long. It's a pretty good strategy. I feel like
I've wondered a lot about that, except for UConn last 2 years, right?
Yeah, but they played a conference that was not as strong. The Big East had 3 teams last year.
Also, their title game is on Saturday, not Sunday.
Right, it's a little different.
What do you guys think about the teams who have to play in Denver? Are you worried about the altitude impacting? Like Michigan just had to play 3 games in 3 days.
Sure.
Now they have to go to Denver to take on
San Diego.
UC San Diego.
And that's an interesting game because San Diego plays a fast pace, and they're a very high-scoring team.
And I think this is Thursday, so you don't have a lot of time.
So Thursday, and Michigan has 2 7-footers, too.
Yeah, those guys are good, though.
What about
Wilson? Yeah, I know.
Auburn having to go to Lexington and play possibly Louisville. Except, though, Louisville's playing Creighton. Creighton still has that 7-footer guy. He's been there forever, right?
Kalkbrenner?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about that guy since we were in college.
Dawn of man.
Yeah, I know.
Point guard Stephen Ashworth also has been in college basketball for 8 years.
Oh, yeah. There's some old dudes in this tournament, which is fun. Yeah, this is, by the way, I know you always love Grand Canyon.
I love a Grand Canyon. I love a High Point.
Yes,
anything that sounds somewhat directional and kind of like it belongs in nature. Sure. Why not? You know me, Miss Outdoors. 855-212-4227. Okay, your bracket strategy, let us know, because Perloff's taking notes. Had some good ones here. We will get into a little of the NFL news from the weekend, but we've got so much college basketball. Again, go to Maggie and Pearl on X, Maggie and Perloff on Facebook, Maggie and Perloff on Instagram. Everywhere that you can possibly find us on social media, that's where you can find the link to Pearl Jam Season 4, our bracket challenge. Go sign up and play against us.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. The office is aflutter with different bracket strategies here. The SEC, Maggie, it's a big question mark. It's a lot of teams there, and I got to tell you, a lot of people, and we'll get into it later, but there are a lot of big, talented teams. I like the old guys, Maggie. You like the talented players.
Yeah, that's the strategy that I use. The best player in the tournament, that's who I pick to win the tournament. Mm-hmm. Everyone's got their own strategies, but I'm thinking about just going blanket 13 seeds over 4s this year and 12s over 5s, because the way some of these challenges work, and you can sign up for the Maggie and Perloff Pearl Jam Season 4 Bracket Challenge. You can get the link in all of our socials. You get more points for the upsets, right? So in some ways it can be a good strategy because you can get points early if you nail some of these, some of these big upsets as opposed to just going chalk.
Right, but then you risk if a 4 or a 5 seed goes on a big run and you have them out in the first round, say Texas A&M or something, and then you're in trouble. But then again, it's always who's bold, who's going to have the 8 seed in the Final Four, who's going to have even the 5 seed, because I've done the ones where I go 1-1-1-1 and
never worked.
It happened once, right? It happened recently, but it's only happened once in history. Double check that.
855-212-4227. We're also asking you a couple more questions. One, are you rooting for Rick Pitino? It's funny to me to see this as like this all-time comeback story. It's like, well, what are you coming back from? It's like, well, pretty big scandal. And, he did go to the tournament with Iona, the last team that he was coaching. This is the 6th team that he's taken to the NCAA tournament. Are you rooting for Rick Pitino as one of the good stories coming out? I find it hard to root for him. So many scandals through so many years. I'm rooting for the players. It's not about them. I will understand wanting to play for Rick Pitino. I just can't really bring myself to be like, yes, let's cheer for this dude.
I don't know. Statute of limitations all feels like ancient history, all that stuff. By the way, 4 Final Fours 2008 and 4 number 1 seeds made the Final Four in 2008, and it almost happened in 2015. So it does happen, Meg.
Let's go to George, who's in L.A. George, what's your strategy for filling out a bracket?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Texas Tech. I don't know if I told you, but I grew up in Lubbock. And another thing about Texas, though, this as when I was a kid, Texas Tech is in the Panhandle, so that's West Texas or right by New Mexico. So it's not really the South.
Okay,
South is more like Houston and Sabine Pass and that area, because Texas is a very large state, 1,000 miles from Louisiana to New Mexico. But anyway, I'm going with Texas Tech. I played there a long time ago, but it don't matter about me. But I think they're a pretty good team. They beat Houston once in the bracket, and they could be a good pick.
Who's the most famous person you played against?
Joe Montana, the cotton ball, intercepted him. But I don't want to talk about me.
Oh, George. You've been calling in about the Rams for the last year, and you never mentioned that you picked off Joe Montana in the Cotton Bowl? That's
in the
sick.
game? One of the top 5 most famous games of all time?
Yeah, and also I have a connection with the Rams from 1980, but I don't want to discuss me.
Whoa, George, we got a celebrity in our midst. George, you should make sure you sign up for Pearl Jam Season 4, the Maggie Perloff Bracket Challenge, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to go on Facebook and look it up.
Fantastic.
Wait.
You want to talk more to George about
picking
George.
Off Joe Montana. Did you go to Tech or okay? So not the University of Houston.
I played at Texas Tech in the late 70s, early 80s.
So not the one where Montana rolled for the touchdown in the Cotton Bowl. A different game.
No, I was there.
No, that's the game, bro.
What? That was against University of Houston, right?
No, it wasn't a game against Houston. It was a game against Texas Tech.
Okay, so we're talking about 2 different games.
Yeah.
Okay. George, look at that. Thank you for the phone call. George is funny because we actually told Kyron Williams, we're like, we have this super fan who calls from L.A. who loves the Rams so much. We told him that at the Super Bowl. Had we known that George had picked off Joe Montana, would have made the story a little bit better. Okay, Texas Tech. They're a 3 seed in the West region. They will take on UNC Wilmington first, but they're in that same part of the bracket that has St. John's as the 2 seed with Rick Pitino and Bill Self and John Calipari facing off in the first round with Kansas plays Arkansas. This all goes down in Providence, Rhode Island.
Can't wait.
Okay. Bogusch is here. What's the matter?
I can't find a Notre Dame Texas Tech Cotton Bowl.
I'm positive that famous game was against Houston. I went to the Cotton Bowl and reenacted it once.
That's what I just found. That I didn't realize it was the chicken soup game. Like when Montana was sick, but like it's.
I know it is a roll right game.
It's against Houston.
Yeah.
Maybe was there a different game?
There must have been. They must have played in the Cotton Bowl.
I've done 77 through 81, and there's a Notre Dame Texas straight up one, but that's it. There's no Texas Tech Cotton Bowl that I can find, unless I can't type or read.
Maybe George played for Texas and Texas Tech.
Maybe he just can't read, Bogusch.
I want to believe George here.
That's not something you could.
Well, maybe Texas Tech.
It happened.
Would there be some reason why Texas Tech played a regular season game in the Cotton Bowl? I know Lubbock
but not in the Cotton Bowl, but at the Cotton Bowl.
Just like literally at the venue.
Maybe the venue and not
that
the game.
maybe makes some sense.
But I mean, it'd be weird. I don't know why they would play. I know that they play the Red Rivalry game there.
Right. That would make that we're doing. It's not the Cotton Bowl on January 1st, but it's just at the Cotton Bowl. Okay.
All right, now we got to go through all of the game logs of Texas Tech going back to the 70s and 80s.
Yes.
So who would like to volunteer for that?
I've been doing it.
Oh, okay. EJ's all over it.
Yeah, I'm having trouble finding a Texas Tech Notre Dame.
I just did a quick Google, and the last time they played, Texas Tech won 39-0 in 1932, and I don't think George was on that team.
That'd be amazing.
He must have picked off a different famous quarterback.
A different Joe Montana?
No, like it wasn't Joe Montana. Maybe it was Dan Marino or something. I'm not saying it was Dan, but I think maybe he's confusing
George,
the quarterback.
Yeah.
The only time Tech and Notre Dame would play was 1932. That's their only game.
I mean, that was a memorable game.
Yeah. Not for George, though.
Oh, no.
I'm obsessed with this now.
I know.
Me too.
Now we got to get to the bottom of it. That will happen. Meanwhile, Bogusch has headlines for us on, what is this, Selection Sunday, and now this is Reaction Monday.
Mm-hmm. But first, some house cleaning, guys, because one of us hosted yesterday morning on WFAN here in New York. Not Maggie, not Pearl, not me.
I did my time.
Not Manny.
I was asleep.
It was EJ. And apparently, EJ, I don't know if you are aware of this, but about 25 minutes ago, a woman named Joyce from New Jersey called the fan, and she does not like you, specifically for one reason.
I woke up yesterday morning to EJ Stewart signing off at 6:53 in the morning, promoting the viewers listening to him and Maggie and Perloff from 6 to 10 in the morning. How does WFAN allow a guest DJ on the weekend to promote over Boomer and Gio?
It's a fair question.
Joyce, you narc. Joyce, you're dead to us. Get out of here, Joyce. EJ can say whatever he wants. I'm sorry, EJ, you can speak for yourself.
So if Joyce would have listened maybe 10 minutes earlier, I literally said, hey, if you're not listening to Boomer and Gio, check out the Maggie and Perloff show. And I said, if you are listening to Boomer and Gio, find us on the podcast.
Definitely.
I absolutely said that in that last segment. And then when I signed off again, that's when I just said us. I didn't mention Boomer G at that point, but it's I have 30 seconds with this music coming down. I can't say everything.
Well done, EJ.
Yeah, fantastic job, dude. And, Joyce can go kick rocks because, this is the number one.
Maggie, do you know Joyce? You sounded like you said goodbye to her.
You said kick rocks. She can eat glass.
Yeah, no, I don't know Joyce. I live in New Jersey, but I don't know everyone who lives in New Jersey. No, I'm not familiar with Joyce. She didn't call when I was a member of the
if you
fan.
had a history back in the day with Joyce.
No.
Goodbye to Joyce.
Most of when I was hosting on Fan, most of the women actually who called in tended to like me because I was one of the only women who was on at the time. So they tended to be supportive. Not Joyce.
Not Joyce.
Hater in the house.
Most of the women are the best callers. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I obviously didn't have Joyce. She didn't want to call my show.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's messed up, Joyce.
Yeah,
I have to be honest.
Selective like
Joyce against Maggie in a corner in Newark. I'm down.
Joyce probably kicked my butt.
I'm a little disappointed, though, because Bogusch, I thought you were setting me up for a bad EJ take. I thought he had a bad take that Joyce was going to be mad at. Something about the Knicks, perhaps? I don't know.
No.
I thought we were going to get some, just promoting the show is fun, but I was hoping he really screwed something up.
I mean, he might have. I'll keep listening to this.
EJ, any big mistakes on Sunday morning?
You'll never know.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear from me.
Joyce opened the floodgates. There's a whole bank of EJ complaints on their phone system right now.
EJ started off the show. The Cincinnati Bengals will never pay T. Higgins over my dead body.
Whoops.
That
was
great.
some big meaty men slapping meat.
Boomer, for the record, Boomer did defend you, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome. I was like, man, I got heat with Boomer and Gio.
No.
The last people you want to have heat with in here.
As far as I can tell, only Joyce has an issue with what you did.
By the way, so just to be
She's the
clear,
one person in the tri-state area.
it's okay for Boomer and Gio to talk about how awkwardly I walk around the office and make fun of me ad nauseum, but we promote the show a little bit, so they can only selectively talk about our show. Is that how it works?
Beefcake boys. I wasn't about the acting.
Again, Boomer is on your side, but I will throw this out because it's happened more than once. It happened most recently last week where Boomer walked by and Pearl was out in the newsroom talking to us at like 8:59, and Boomer said, "Oh, it must be nice being done at 9 o'clock." And we were like, "No, again, there's a whole other hour of the show."
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
We're just peons to Boomer. There's no doubt about it.
Jeez.
Oh, man.
He sees us at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yes.
He thinks we were off the air, though, for an hour.
This
Really?
4 hour,
We're just hanging out here?
Yeah, so I don't know.
This 4 hour block has been designed to mimic their 4 hours for multiple variations of whatever show has been here.
But there's an awkward 3 minutes where we're done and they're not quite done. What is the clock a little different?
Yeah, because they go
there?
all the way till 10.
Yeah.
Or past that. They don't have that hard, concrete stop time that we do.
No. The commercial breaks on Fan are just what's sold.
They're suggestions.
Yeah, that's also
yes,
true.
they are.
Yeah, during the pandemic, they're like, all right, you're doing a 4-hour show and you have 2 minutes of commercials. Like, wait, what?
We've also shortened the updates to 10 seconds.
That's a lot of talking.
Yeah.
No, it was great. Good job, EJ.
Thank you. And by the way, check us out every Monday through Friday on the Maggie Perloff Show.
And sign up for our bracket challenge,
Yeah.
which is on all of our social channels. Back to you, Bo.
Jonas, I hope you choke on water.
Let me now tack this onto your North Carolina debate. BracketProject.com tracks the legit bracket projections for men's March Madness. They have 111 total brackets. They throw it into a machine. It spits out the likelihood of teams making the actual field. Not one of these 111 had North Carolina in their final projection, and then the Tar Heels made the actual field. That's never happened before at this website.
And they're an 11 seed.
Yeah.
It's not like they snuck in here with a 15 or something.
Well, don't forget, though, they did sneak in. They are the last team in the field, even though they are an 11 seed. That's the last spot where a Power 5 conference team can go. And this is Keith Gill, who had to be the messenger next to Bubba Cunningham yesterday. He's the Sun Belt commissioner, and this is the specifics of how North Carolina got in the 68 yesterday.
If Memphis won that game, then that was going to free up a spot in the tournament, and that was going to be North Carolina. If UAB had won, then Memphis was going to be in the tournament. UAB would have been in the tournament, and North Carolina would have been the first team out. And so that process played out today. Memphis won, and that put North Carolina in the field.
Yeah,
and that was in the American title game.
Doesn't answer the question because I understand that the conference champion for the American Athletic Conference got in, but that doesn't explain why North Carolina got in over West Virginia. Indiana, that was a tough season.
Indiana has some good wins too, though.
They have better wins than North Carolina, but it doesn't explain why North Carolina got in over West Virginia.
Right. It doesn't explain why they were ahead of them on the list of teams to get in if there was a spot. And
they
then
should
there
have just
was
said
a
the
spot.
Ken Pom. That's the answer.
Well, what he kept emphasizing, too, was that, hey, this is a contingency bracket, right? So he was saying that North Carolina didn't get some kind of home cooking because if Memphis would have lost, which was possible because UAB is pretty good.
They almost lost in their semifinal, too, Memphis.
Right, exactly. So he's saying, we didn't know Memphis was going to win the tournament. North Carolina got in purely because Memphis won, and they would have been out. If North Carolina's out and UAB wins, we're not even having this conversation.
Sure.
I think was why he kept bringing that up.
I got to give that guy respect. He answered a completely different question. It was like he should go in front of Congress with that pivot on there. He's like, well, how come North Carolina's in over West Virginia? Here's the deal. Memphis and UAB. Dude, you got to give him credit. It sounds like a guy on 60 Minutes who's getting interviewed and just for the tobacco companies, it has to lie. Right. It's a totally different answer, isn't it? It has nothing to do, as you just said, it has nothing to do with the question.
It's like the follow-up answer to once you try to explain why they were team 60, whatever the number is, which goes back to what EJ was saying in terms of their the wins above bubble, whatever it's called, and the rest of their resume. When you explain why they're ahead of West Virginia, then you say, because Memphis won and there was no bid stealer, we could put them in. It's a double-pronged answer because they're not in if things had gone differently Saturday or Sunday.
I think that this guy getting to sit next to Bubba Cunningham, it was just like an airbag for Cunningham.
100%.
Because Cunningham is the athletic director for UNC who had to technically leave the room while they're discussing North Carolina. But there's relationships. I'm not saying there's favors being done. I'm not alleging that sort of blatant impropriety, but it looks terrible.
It's tough, right? Because you said, even though the guy, and they made it clear that, Cunningham is not in the conversations about North Carolina, you've been working with this guy for months, right?
Yeah.
So, you probably feel some affinity to him. I assume everybody doesn't hate Bubba Cunningham on the committee, right? So there is still going to be some implicit bias that you're working with someone who works with a team who's part of this conversation.
Okay, so
they're always going to have somebody from some school. I mean, Ward Manuel's from some school, right? I mean, there's always somebody.
Everybody on the committee is an active conference commissioner or an athletic director.
Right.
There are no what's the right word here? Civilians. Everyone's in the game, which is the bigger argument.
So here's a question. When Bubba Cunningham has to leave the room when they're talking about North Carolina, do you think that's where he first saw the photo of Belichick and his girlfriend on the beach? Or do you think that someone else sent it to him?
He's getting that sooner. He's getting that one right away.
He didn't just go out in the hallway and he's scrolling and he's like, oh, Belichick and his girlfriend are playing airplane on the beach.
He's going through the seeding of all right, we're going to put Memphis in this 5 seed. And what?
And
the text I just got? What the hell is this?
Never had a cup of coffee in my life.
I don't understand why they were playing airplane like that on the beach.
I know how interested you are in that subject.
And who's taking the picture?
Oh, that's a good question.
Self-timer, baby. Self-timer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can't. Who would be the third wheel of this awkward date? So it's Belichick on the beach.
Her actual boyfriend.
If anyone has ever had a kid and played airplane with them before, I'm sure we've all done it.
Nope.
Bogusch, Pearl.
Yeah, with a kid, yeah.
Yeah, right. So you put your kid up, you're laying
She is
down.
a kid.
Put your kid up.
In this case, it's a grandkid, actually. It's not a kid. It's literally a grandkid.
What's actually more awkward, doing that with your 24-year-old girlfriend or 24-year-old granddaughter?
I gotta say, Bill Belichick, good leg strength.
Yeah,
for a 70-something-year-old. I mean, not that Jordan Hudson's very small, we saw, but
She's very small.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you're lifting a grown person.
I appreciate the question. I really do.
It's all that time on that. Doesn't he on the treadmill while he's watching tape or whatever? This is so awkward.
It's the worst.
It's the worst photo. And the other part is, why is she wearing headphones? Like, there's just so many things about
to
this.
not listen to him talk. Who wants to hear about two high safeties when I'm on the beach, bro? Trying to listen to some Lil Uzi.
You think Jordan listened to Lil Uzi?
Probably not, but that's what I'm listening to.
Oh, my
This is
God.
his new Playboy Cardi mixtape.
Bill, you want to listen to his new Playboy Cardi?
By the way, has Bill Belichick even signed a bunch of guys? Are they any good?
I appreciate the question.
I've not heard. When they go 6-5 with this girlfriend situation,
Well, we can blame her because she's CC'd on every
That's bowl
correspondence.
eligible, though. 6-5, bowl eligible.
I feel like they're very relevant now, and they're going to be totally irrelevant by October.
Guy's doing airplanes on the beach. That guy's not the character. Doesn't give a damn about winning games.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like right. Exactly, it doesn't feel like has this methodical plan to bring UNC to the national title game. He's playing with his grandkids on the beach.
I thought for a second maybe Michael Lombardi took the photo. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
It was Bubba Cunningham in between. They started talking about UNC. Bubba
He's
had to go
everywhere.
To the
I mean, I've never rooted for a relationship to end for all people considered faster than this. Like, this needs to go away.
No.
Yesterday.
Bogusch, you're so wrong about this. This
No.
thing needs to go to the end of
I
time.
don't like any of this.
We need the wedding. We need the documentary.
No, you get no. After you poo-pooing every Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce storyline for the last year plus, you don't get to root for this one.
Come on.
No.
You don't believe in the love?
This ain't love.
Oh, wait, the end of times in 3 or 4 years.
Oh, my God.
True. All right, let it roll.
You're wrong for that one. Okay, coming up at the top of the
Good
hour.
18 years from now.
Yeah, at least 2027.
Yeah.
They'll probably actually be winning football games for
He's
at
going
least
to
a
outlive
decade.
us all.
Maybe she'll graduate. Maybe she'll get her BA.
Wait, I thought she was a master's student.
Who knows? Who cares?
Masters in what?
Cosmetology. I'm actually not making that up.
Here comes the airplane. Enough.
Is he feeding her now? What is it? Or is she feeding him?
Breaking down the all-22.
Oh, gosh. All right, we got a break. Top of the hour, we reveal the Maggie and Perloff crazy bracket. What was our theme this year? You're going to find out in just minutes.
We don't have time for that.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Texas. Ain't no hold. Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, just minutes away from revealing the Maggie and Perloff bracket for this tournament season. What is the topic we picked this year? You're going to have to wait and find out at the top of the hour. Meanwhile, you can play along with the Maggie and Perloff bracket challenge, which is the traditional men's bracket. You can do that. Pearl Jam Season 4 is up and running. All of our social channels have the link. Go ahead, sign up, and you can play against me and Perloff, and it turns out most of Perloff's extended family.
And all my friends, all 6 of them.
There you go. So make sure you talk plenty of smack in the comments section as well so that all of Perloff's loved ones see what you're doing and keep it clean. So 855-212-4227. Got a couple questions out there for you. Number 1, what's your strategy to filling out a bracket? Has anyone found one that works? 2, are you rooting for Rick Pitino? He's become one of the big storylines of this tournament because it's the 6th team that he's taken to the NCAAs. It's a record. St. John's is a 2 seed in the West region. But, you know, Rick Pitino's been through a lot of scandals. 855-212-4227. Okay. George is calling back. George in L.A., big Rams fan, found out, played a little bit of football in college, and famously picked off Joe Montana in the Cotton Bowl. George, we went back to find the box score, and we were having trouble. So did you play for Texas Tech or Texas?
It was Texas my first 2 years, and Texas Tech my second 2 years.
Got it.
There we go.
There we go.
There was, because we're
it's been
going
a
back
long
through the
time.
box scores because we want to find out what happened. And we are looking at Texas Tech versus Notre Dame. Hadn't played since like the 1930s, so we knew that wasn't you.
Yeah, it could have been me. I was not there then, but Lubbock and Texas Tech and Texas, they don't like each other at all. So, but my first 2 years I was at Texas, but then I went to Texas Tech in the last two.
Okay, so now we're able to solve this mystery. George, I believed you the whole time. I thought that this had to be a mistake. Maybe you went to Texas and Texas Tech. Now we got to the bottom of it, and you picked off Joe Montana at a game in the Cotton Bowl.
Right, and Montana was a very nice young man, but he was kind of frail looking. I mean, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But you can't always judge a book by its cover, forget about me. But let's make sure you get Texas Tech in that bracket on the basketball.
There you go. That's what you've been saying, George, and thank you for the phone call. And now we got to the bottom of it. EJ's finding the box score, and George did indeed pick off Joe Montana in a big game. Yeah, Montana was never the biggest guy, Pearl. We know that, right? But he was tough as hell.
Yeah, a bit of a system quarterback, as I've told him to his face. No, I'm just kidding. So Notre Dame, that is a prime Notre Dame era. Isn't that kind of Rudy era? Was Rudy Ruttinger in that game? Possibly. Dan Devine is the head coach. So we're talking big time Notre Dame. That's a lot of fun.
Do you have the box score, EJ? You were able to find it? We're still looking for it.
Box score is hard to find. I had the game log.
Okay.
The pick that happened wasn't a touchdown, so it's hard to find. But Joe Montana was picked off in this game.
Just that one time?
I think it was multiple times, but I'm trying to figure out the box score.
Gotcha. Love it. 1978. You never knew who our listeners are. We've got a lot of really talented people listening to the show. 855-212-4227. Okay, the Maggie and Perloff bracket of craziness gets revealed next. What's our theme for this year? Stay tuned. You'll find out in just minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Brackets are out. Brackets are up. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, and the top seeds, the number one seeds, looking very, very strong this time around. Auburn gets the number one overall seed. Duke, Houston, and Florida. Florida won the SEC. And Perloff, your eyes immediately go to Duke because they were without Cooper Flagg for most of the ACC tournament, yet won the ACC tournament anyway. And now I think listen, nothing's easy in this type of format, but I think they draw one of the easier runs to the Final Four than any of the other number one seeds.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama, of course, is experienced. So I would counter with the fact that the Tide have been there, and they've been a lot further. They've been further than Duke, this current Alabama team, and they're old, and they have big game experience. So I don't think it's a cakewalk necessarily, but I have been fading Duke, and I have to be honest, the fact that they play their Elite 8 game in Newark, I do see a Final Four trip, but for them to go all the way, since when they're young, they're so young. Con Knippel and Cooper Flagg, they look young. I just think that they're going to play against a lot of grown men in this tournament. The SEC is loaded with these gigantic teams. I think that it's going to be very hard for Duke to make the run. I am not putting them in the winner's box.
I am. 14 teams, though, did make it from the SEC. Yeah. We were, watched all season long about how this was the best conference in America, and it was reflected in that 14. I mean, it breaks a record, shatters a record, quite frankly. And I think if one of these SEC teams does not win, it's probably a bit of a letdown. But Auburn has lost 3 of their last 4. You love Alabama, but hasn't been able to win it all. They were Final Four last year. Florida, phenomenal, 30-win team. Todd Golden becoming one of the hottest coaches in the country, despite some, issues off the court earlier on in the season that he seems to have gotten past. But Florida finds themselves in this crazy region where they're facing other Hall of Fame coaches like Rick Pitino, who's in this region, Bill Self, John Calipari, Penny Hardaway is in this region, Danny Hurley is in this region. It's just that West region is crazy. In Houston, third year in a row, Pearl, with a number 1 seed in this tournament. And, they are going to have to get through the likes of a Gonzaga team that probably should have been higher than an 8. They're going to have to get through the likes of a Kentucky that's a 3. Tennessee is a 2.
Yeah, again, except for Tennessee, this is the typical NCAA tournament disappointer bracket here. Kentucky, Purdue, those are the teams that, Kentucky lately, come on. Although it's a different team.
Different team now, Mark Pope.
Yeah, but generally you have to feel very, very nervous about advancing them even past the first round. Houston has been disappointing. They are so big and physical. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine how you're just a normal college basketball team trying to hang with them the entire game. So many old guys. Tennessee.
Yep.
They're very old, too. There are just a lot of 22 and 23-year-olds in this tournament. That is going to be my key strategy going throughout. I really like the Houston bracket. I almost said to myself, they want Houston to finally get to the Final Four because it feels like they've been knocking at the door of being an elite team. This bracket, to me, is the easiest of the 4.
855-212-4227. We're asking you a couple questions today. One, what is your strategy for filling out brackets? Mine is I look at who is the best player in the tournament, and that's who I generally back. And I think the best player in the tournament's got to be Cooper Flagg. So that's another reason why I'm putting Duke as the national champions. And then I'm thinking about, Pearl, just going blanket every 13 seed over a 4 and every 12 seed over a 5. Unique strategy by me to be, pulling for that many upsets. But I think that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, so you put them through the first round. How far do you make all these teams?
2 rounds.
You are going to have them win 2 rounds.
Not all of them. Some of them, like High Point, who I've been calling for weeks now, is going to be my Cinderella. I have them beating Purdue and then beating McNeese. So there you go. High Point is going to be the one team that I have going 2 deep.
Love it.
In this tournament. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you got to love Yale, right?
I don't love Yale, but I'm going to pick Yale. Here's the thing about Yale. They upset Auburn last year. Yeah. I wonder, is it hard to see a team coming a second time in a row? Like Yale could kind of take a team by surprise. Like, ooh, here comes Yale. They beat Auburn, but now you're kind of waiting for them because you know how good they are.
Except they're supposed to be a little better this year, so that's a tough draw, though, A&M.
Very tough. What's your strategy? 855-212-4227. Another question for you. Are you rooting for Rick Pitino? Guy's been in our life for a long time, Pearl. He's been coaching for 50 years. He's now taking his 6th team to the NCAA tournament. It's a record. Yet, he's got a lot of things in his past, a lot of different scandals, lots of every flavor and variety that you can have a scandal. It seems like Rick Pitino has had that. And, this is kind of being touted as this big redemption story. A little hard for me to get behind.
Yeah, it's almost, this is going to sound like I'm taking it. It's almost funny, though. Like, just seeing Rick Pitino up there, there's almost a wink and a nod. Almost like a scriptwriter did this. I don't take it as seriously, seeing him up there with the violations of the past. I watch him at these press conferences. He's toying with the media. Everyone seems to be having fun with this. I don't know. Like, all that scandal seems like a former generation. It's still with you?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just bringing up old stuff, but there's something about it that just still gives me a bit of an ick factor. And I know he's not the only one. There's a lot of guys who are coaching in this bracket who have had plenty of the NCAA violations. It's just hard for me to fully get behind it. Okay, 855-212-4227. We should also mention Maggie Perloff, Season 4 Pearl Jam, up and running. So if you want to play a bracket challenge against the show, come on in, sign up. You can find the link at any of our social channels. So that's X, that's Instagram, Facebook, whatever you got. I'm going to fill out mine right when the show ends today.
Are you? Okay, I'm the opposite. I'm going to take in every piece of analysis known to man and have paralysis by analysis. I'm going to look at advanced metrics. I'm going to look at what the experts say. And you got to pick the right expert to listen to.
Who do you like? So you're just going to copy someone else's work, Pearl? That's lame.
Who doesn't love information overload?
I'm going to copy somebody's work. Okay. Are you sitting there watching tape in New Mexico to decide who's winning the New Mexico Marquette game?
Hey, that's the young Pitino team.
Yeah, Richard, the other one. I called High Point weeks ago, Pearl.
The key is it's not it's not copying other people's work. It's knowing when to fade certain people where. Like, you got to know when Jay Williams is speaking out of emotion. Oh. And you got to know Seth Greenberg, we've known him for years, who he likes and who he doesn't like. You got to understand that Seth Davis went to Duke. There's so much going on here. Wow. It's not a matter of copying.
That's the type of information overload, that I could do without. What's your strategy to filling out your bracket? Again, 855-212-4227. All right. It wouldn't be the Maggie and Perloff show if we didn't zag while everyone is zigging. So without further ado, we'll reveal the special Maggie and Perloff bracket. All right, Perloff, would you like to do the honors of revealing what this year's theme is?
All right. There's a reason we went in this direction. It has to do with you, Maggie. Nobody is a bigger fan of comedy movie sequels on this planet than one Maggie Gray. I think it was greatly affected by when she was age 11 watching cable TV and thinking these are funny and not really maturing much since then.
No.
In a comedy sense. So we decided this year that our side bracket, our side hustle, is going to be determining the greatest sequel of all time. Field of 64, we're going to put it up to your vote to figure out the greatest movie sequel of all time. And I got to tell you, it sounds easy. There are some amazing choices in the field.
Yeah, but we should be clear. Just because my love of comedy movie sequels doesn't mean these are all comedies.
No,
this
they're all comedies. Yes, it's Hangover 2's a 1 seed.
No, absolutely not. This is the Maggie and Perloff movie sequels bracket. Now, one other piece of housekeeping. We defined sequels as the second movie only.
Right, so we adjusted the term because we looked it up in the dictionary, and sequel could be the third, because the third is a sequel to the second movie. But we're only doing the two.
Right. We didn't want to get into... There's so many nowadays with the, comic book movies and Rockies and all that stuff. There's just so many. So we are defining it just as the second movie. First movie comes out, the second movie is considered the sequel, okay? So let's get going. The Maggie and Perloff movie sequels bracket. We're going to start in the Gotham City region. We're just going to reveal one region today. The number 1 overall seed is The Dark Knight.
You know what I noticed? Nobody panics when things go according to plan. Even if the plan is horrifying. If tomorrow I tell the press that, a gangbanger will get shot, or a truckload of soldiers will be blowing up, nobody panics. Because it's all part of the plan. But when I say that one little old mare will die, well, then everyone loses their minds.
Okay, Dark Knight is the number 1 seed in this region. They will take on the 16 seed D2, the Mighty Ducks.
We're Team USA, gathered from all across America. And we're going to stick together. You know why?
Because we are ducks, and ducks fly together.
That's right. And just when you think they're about to break apart,
ducks fly together. And when the wind blows hard and the sky is black, ducks fly together.
Wow. This whole debate, D2 versus Dark Knight. Very similar movies.
Heath Ledger versus Emilio Estevez. You be the judge. Okay, the 8th seed in this Gotham region is the movie Ocean's 12.
I think I'm 50 years old. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. How old do you think I am?
48.
I think I'm 48 years old.
52.
Do I look 50 to you?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, only from the neck up.
All right, it's the Maggie and Perloff sequels bracket. 8th seed Ocean's 12 up against the 9th seed Toy Story 2.
Hold it right there.
Buzz?
You again. Woody, thank goodness you're all right.
Buzz, what is going on?
Hold on. Oh. I am Buzz Lightyear, and I'm in charge of this detachment. No, I'm Buzz Lightyear. I am Buzz Lightyear. I'm Buzz Lightyear.
So, who's the real Buzz?
I am Don't let this imposter fool you. He's been trained by Zurg himself to mimic my every move.
Buzz.
Could be Tim Allen's best work. That's the 8-9 matchup in the Maggie Perloff sequels bracket. The 5th seed in this region, Kill Bill Volume 2.
What do I find? Not only are you not dead, you're getting married to some jerk. And you're pregnant. I overreacted.
You overreacted?
Okay, the 5th seed in this region of the Maggie Perloff sitcom bracket goes up against the 12th seed, Deadpool 2.
Meets Bedlam.
Cool name. Superpowers?
I can distort electrical fields, including the one inside your brain, causing anxiety, confusion, pain.
So basically, you're Dave Matthews. We can use him. I'm a zeitgeist. Cool. I like it. So you have the power to put your finger on the pulse of society? No, I spit acidic vomit. Oh. Do you want me to die?
We'll take your word for it.
Yeah, listen, we've all eaten at Arby's.
Okay, it's the Maggie and Perloff sequels bracket. We're finding the best sequel that ever existed. The 4th seed of this region is Captain America Winter Soldier.
I need a new set of lungs. Dude, you just ran like 13 miles in 30 minutes.
Guess I got a late start.
Really? You should be ashamed of yourself. You should take another lap. Did you just take it? I assume you just took it.
What unit you with?
58th Pararescue. But now I'm working down at the VA. Sam Wilson.
Steve Rogers.
I kind of put that together. Must have freaked you out coming home after the whole defrosting thing.
Takes some getting used to. It's good to meet you, Sam.
Okay, 4th seed, Captain America Winter Soldier in the Maggie and Perloff sequels bracket goes up against the 13th seed, the Addams Family Values.
We will sell our bracelets by the roadsides. You will play golf and enjoy hot hors d'oeuvres. My people will have pain and degradation. Your people will have stick shifts. The gods of my tribe have spoken. They have said, do not trust the pilgrims, especially Sarah Miller. Gary, she's changing the words. And for all these reasons, I've decided to scalp you and burn your village to the ground.
Is that get a little Wednesday love there? That's not the show Wednesday. That was Addams Family Values too.
The Addams Family Value, yes, the sequel to Addams Family. These are all sequels, the Maggie and Perloff bracket. We're in the Gotham region. Just a few more to go. The 6th seed in this region, a classic, Superman 2.
Okay. Clark, let me see your hand. Give it to me.
No, sorry.
Let me look at it. You are Superman.
Oh, Lois, come on, don't be...
Oh.
Yeah. Is
John
Gene Hackman
Williams
in this
score?
one? Gene Hackman in the
I
second
think,
one?
yeah, he's a bit, but that's where General Zod goes. I am taking over planet Houston.
The 6th seed Superman 2 in the Maggie and Perloff sequels bracket goes up against the 11th seed Bad Boys 2.
Who the f*** are you?
I'm Mr. Bennett. I'm Reggie.
What you doing here?
Came to take out Megan.
What?
I came to take out Megan.
How old are you?
I'm 15, Mr. Bennett.
Mother, you look 30. Show me some ID.
I don't have none on me.
You don't have no idea. Get your ass up against that wall. What the f*** is your problem? You think you know it all. You little young Thundercat. You got joints on you?
No.
You smoke that?
No, sir.
You trying to get my daughter high? You smoke that?
Who that is,
It's
dog?
Reggie.
Who the f*** is Reggie?
Martin Lawrence at his best. Okay, it's the Maggie Perloff sequels bracket. This is the Gotham region. This is the only region we're revealing today. The 3rd seed in this region, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Is he nuts?
You know nuts. He's crazy.
Small around. Prepare to meet Khalid.
in hell. Oh! Put out a ring!
Okay, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and the Maggie Perloff sitcom bracket, sequels bracket, goes up against the 14 seed Perloff, The Hangover 2.
I think it's happened again. Ella, what did you do? I didn't do anything, I swear to God. Your hair is gone. Stu, come on, get up. We got a situation. Oh, holy. Where are we? Oh my God, Alan. Your head. Oh, your head.
Okay, two more matchups in the Maggie Perloff sequels bracket. The 7th seed in this region is John Wick Chapter 2.
John Wick is a man of focus. Commitment. The sheer will. He once killed 3 men in a bar with
a pencil. I know, I've heard the story, sir.
Pencil!
By the way, true story, flipping around college basketball this weekend, John Wick 2 is on TV. It is a sign. It's a lot like John Wick 1 and John Wick 3, but it's pretty awesome.
7th seed in this region, the Maggie Perloff sequels bracket, that goes up against the 10 seed Inside Out 2.
Who made the console orange?
Do I look orange?
I didn't touch
Orange is not my color. Not me.
Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, I am just such a huge fan of yours, and now here I am meeting you face to face. Okay, how can I help? I can take notes, get coffee, manage your calendar, walk your dog, carry your things, watch you sleep.
Wow, you have a lot of energy. Maybe you could just stay in one place?
Anything. Just call my name, and I'm here for you.
Okay, love that. And what was your name again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can get ahead of myself. I'm anxiety.
There you go. Apropos this time. Okay, and last matchup here, the Maggie and Perloff Gotham region, Maggie and Perloff sequels bracket. The 2nd seed in this region is the Lost World Jurassic Park.
You know, I beg people to listen to me. I use plain, simple English. I don't have any accent that I'm wearing.
Oh, shut up.
So that should make an interesting chapter in your book, huh?
I think that the debate over the parental instincts of the T-Rex is now academic.
Hang on, this is gonna be bad.
Who doesn't love dinosaurs? And the 15 seed, the last one in this region, a Maggie and Perloff sequels bracket, Ghostbusters 2.
All in the hands of our lawyer now.
I think you guys are making a big mistake. I do mostly tax law and some probate stuff occasionally. I got my law degree in night school.
Well, that's fine, Louis. We got arrested at night.
There you go. All right, so that's the first region, Maggie and Perloff sequels bracket. We're looking to find the greatest sequel ever made.
I mean, the question isn't, did we make the sequel bracket? It's should we have made the sequel bracket? Trying to do Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park 2, and I just screwed it up.
Yeah, we were so busy making the sequels bracket, we
Yeah.
never stopped to find out if we should have made the sequels bracket.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I should deliver
welcome.
it that way. There's some heavyweights and some lightweights in there. There's some lightweights. I'm not going to lie to you. Hangover 2, The Paycheck, was not my favorite movie of all time.
Yes,
But,
The Search for More Money.
isn't
The
it
Dark
funny?
Knight is really good, though.
Yeah,
People love that.
It's so interesting about the sequel bracket that there are some really fun, silly lower seeds. I don't know if your 12s are going to beat your 5s, but there's some heavyweights. Dark Knight's going to be big.
Well, 12 seed Deadpool 2, I think people really like. That's going up against Kill Bill Volume 2, which is kind of like a, extension of the first movie.
Yeah. Temple of Doom, iconic.
Temple of Doom is really strong. I actually thought Ghostbusters 2 should have been higher than a 15 seed. I argued for that.
That's because you're insane.
Well, so basically, you're Dave Matthews.
What is with you in these comedy sequels?
And remember, this year, nobody can complain about seeding because we took it out of our hands.
That is true. We decided instead of us ruining the seating, we left it to the computers. and we let AI.
We let Ken
left it to
Pomeroy.
Bubba Cunningham.
Yeah.
It's the Mag Pearl ranking that happened. This is a computer ranking totally.
I think you're an idiot.
Ghostbusters 2 was 0-9 against Quad 1 teams.
Vigo, the painting, the evil painting comes to life. You didn't love that one?
I know we got a break, but also if you measure it against the first movie, that's where you get into big trouble with some of these movies.
That's true. So we are attempting to find the greatest sequel of all time, greatest movie sequel, and that was the first region, the Gotham region, was just revealed. So we'll put that out on our socials.
So basically, you're Dave Matthews.
855-212-4227. We love a Dave Matthews joke around here at Bogusch's expense. Okay, we've got some NFL news to get to. We'll do that next.
Reggie.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. You can go to our X feed. I'm calling it X feed.
Yeah.
Anyway, to find out our movie sequel bracket, the top 64 sequels of all time. Every year we do a side bracket in addition to the NCAA tournament bracket. And of course, you could also compete against us in our actual NCAA tournament bracket, men's side. Maggie, you're pretty confident this year with your strategy.
Yeah, I always pick the best player in the tournament, and then I pick them to win. It happened, worked for me one time in 2003, and I've been riding this thing ever since. It hasn't worked since, but that's the kind of stick-to-itiveness and the perseverance that I like to display. So I'm going with Cooper Flagg. He's the best player in the tournament, even with a sprained ankle. So I'm going to pick Duke to win it all. But meanwhile, I have some other strategies that I'm employing this year.
Yes.
It's an all upsets in terms of 13 4s and 12 5s. The 12-5 is like that's the easy one. I think 13-4 is the new 12-5. So I'm just going upsets across the board, and that's going to be the other half of my strategy. And I feel good about this. You can go to all of our social channels and sign up for Pearl Jam Season 4.
Yeah. I'm going old guys, and there are a million of them. I can't believe how many 23-year-olds are in this tournament. It's like college football. The 22, 23-year-olds have a major advantage. How does an 18-year-old compete with Mark Sears and LJ Cryer and guys who've already been in 7 tournaments?
Well, he's the best player. I mean, he was competing against like Team USA and LeBron James and Kevin Durant in the summertime, and they all said he was amazing. So I think he's a special dude.
Yeah. Is he so special to buck all historic trends since your guy Carmelo?
Well,
actually, Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis didn't even have a great wasn't he? Did he go cold in one of those Final Four games?
He didn't shoot well in the Final Four game.
Yeah. But listen.
But then he carried him in the championship game.
No, sorry. The championship game, he didn't shoot well. That's what I meant.
Well, he was pretty good down the stretch of that game, though. I was there. I watched it. But yes.
But he had a bunch of pros around him, too. It actually wasn't the greatest Kentucky team, but he did have first-round picks at every spot.
Listen, whatever your strategy is, you let us know at 855-212-4227. Now, as far as strategy to win the sequel bracket, I mean, good luck to you. Because when you have the Dark Knight going up against D2, the Mighty Ducks, all bets are off.
I have a predicted winner. Everybody.
From this region?
Overall, I think when we said it, the greatest sequel of all time, I think everybody immediately goes to a movie. And not the same movie, but I'm saying you think greatest sequel of all time, a movie pops into your head. I think that's the movie that wins the whole thing. I won't reveal what it is, but there's greatest sequel of all time. Everyone, boom, has an answer.
Right. We're going to reveal one region a day. So the number 1 seed in this region is Dark Knight, as I just mentioned. 2 seed, Jurassic Park, The Lost World. I was not a fan of this movie. Jeff Goldblum came back, but he was like about it. And Julianne Moore was in this movie. I think why it got such a high score on like Rotten Tomatoes and other things is because if you read the books, Jurassic Park, a lot of the second movie is also in the book. So it kind of felt like there was a lot of similar themes. Maybe?
I gotta be honest, I'm seeing it already. I feel like the Jurassic Park seeding is gonna get a lot of complaints. But like, again, it was not us. This is purely the Mag Pearl ranking, right? Just like Ken Pom or Net. Like, we didn't do any, we just put the names in there. Man. Put the names in there, and this is what it spat out. It had Jurassic Park as a 2 seed.
I know. I'm smelling an upset here with Ghostbusters 2. Anyway, you can see on our social channels everything that's out there. The real bracket that you can participate in, Pearl Jam Season 4, and then our side bracket, the sequels bracket. Everyone got all that?
What?
There you go. Andrew Bogusch says headlines for us. What's up, Bogusch?
Guys, you just mentioned a few minutes ago the SEC was going to set the men's March Madness record for most selections ever. The exact number was the question, and it is 14 after Texas got in off the bubble. That's 3 more than the Big East got back in 2011. The Longhorns also matching the mark for most losses by an at-large team with 15. They'll play Xavier Wednesday for the right to play Illinois in round 1.
Really?
Far from all of that is Auburn, Duke, Houston, and Florida on the 1 line. The Blue Devils sit atop the East region facing American or Mount St. Mary's on Friday. John Shire assumes he'll have the aforementioned Cooper Flagg for that one.
Our goal is for Friday, no question about it. I know that's his goal as well. We're just going to progress in the right way and still be smart about not doing too much in the beginning of the week.
All of this because of that nasty twisted ankle from the ACC tourney last Wednesday. How about this, Pearl? The women's bracket includes 3 Ivy League schools for the first time ever. Harvard won their tournament. Columbia and Princeton get in as at-larges.
I saw Harvard as this player that keeps on put up 40-point games. She's amazing. Sure. I don't know her name. I can't remember her name.
Wow, that's some dynamite analysis. Hey, do you guys know how many people, how many Harvard grads it takes to screw in a light bulb?
How many, Mags?
How many?
Well, just one, and then everyone waits for the universe to revolve around that person.
Now we're doing mom jokes now with dad joke. Mom
You're welcome,
joke, Maggie.
America.
Harmony Turner, by the way.
There we go. Right
She's
on schedule.
She's unbelievable based on the highlights that I've seen on SportsCenter, and I've never watched a Harvard game. Sorry.
It's okay.
No, how dare you?
No one would have known any of this. You just did not mention any of it, just to be clear.
But Harmony Turner, that I have
you didn't know who she was, so you won't watch any Harvard. Like,
yeah.
This is all
This is a self-created problem.
Yeah. But listen, again, anybody who's saying that they're an expert on the 3 Ivy League, who's been watching Ivy League's women? Manny, have you been studying this bracket?
Oh, yeah, big on Harmony.
Sounded legit.
Manny,
I love
you would like her, by the way. Let me just put it that way.
I probably would.
Manny would like any of these ladies.
That's right.
They wouldn't like him.
That's also correct.
We're not sure.
No, I feel pretty safe in an accomplished
You got
woman
something else
in
in there,
good
Bogusch?
shape's not going to like me.
You got something else in there,
I
Bogusch?
do. The NFL tried to steal some headlines overnight with the Bengals coming to terms with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Chase replacing Myles Garrett, who replaced Max Crosby as the highest paid non-QB ever. His 4-year extension reportedly guarantees him $112 million. Initial reports say the first half of Higgins' 4-year extension guaranteed, but the exact dollar amount still unclear. He would have made $26 million on the franchise tag for this coming season.
What is this fix here for the Bengals? Now, do we just have to assume that the defense is going to get better? They fired Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator. We still don't have Trey Hendrickson, but do we just assume the defense will get better? Because last year, I saw Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow basically have all-time seasons. T. Higgins has played 12 games in the last 2 years, so I don't know, does his health automatically get better now with the money?
Well, they would like you to assume that the defense will get better.
The T. Higgins is totally sitting out, waiting to get paid.
What, hurt his ability to play full season?
Oh, yeah, he was lollygagging on that injury. Everybody knew that.
Okay,
and
or
by the way,
soft tissue injuries, and good luck with that because they're nagging and they can pop up at any minute.
By the way, that being said, I understand your logic, and I get it. They have no other team around, but you got to keep – if you can keep T. Higgins in the house, you got to keep that guy. He's amazing.
That was the Athletics argument, and they're right about this with their Bengals beat guys. Like, they don't have other good players to pay right now, so they have to pay these guys and then hope that they can find cheap free agents and hit on the draft, but they only have 4 picks, and they need offensive line help, so, like – they needed to get this done, but it's because it was almost like we might as just now get this over with.
But they were much better when he was on the field last year. You could at least squint and see that.
It's fine as long as he's actually on the field. And then I wonder, I've thought this whole time that they are basically lying to Joe Burrow and saying we're going to re-sign all 3 of these guys. They've got 2 now under contract, and I think Trey is gone. And I think they're getting this done now with a month to go before the draft so that they can still solicit offers here and try to get some draft capital.
I believe I saw from Jordan Shorts today that they still have hope that they can get Henderson back.
Listen, if they want to, they can do it.
I know. I mean, the question is the want to, right? Like the Browns typically are the team that give out, the Bengals don't give out a lot of cash. The Browns that are. So that's the big question, right? Like this is a lot of money up front that he's about to pay. He's just gave a big bonuses to the both wide receivers and give another big bonus to Hendrickson. This is going to be maybe $100 million all in one.
So
one spell.
Boo-hoo billionaire.
So Albert,
I feel so bad for you.
Albert Breer says that the real money expenditure next year on Burrow, Chase, and Higgins is $110 million. But the cap's going to be $300 million for next season. So that ends up not really being that much money.
Well, it's also
even
the
on
cap
three
is
guys.
also a figment of our imagination.
That
so let's
too.
just keep that in mind at all times.
By the way, I'm not even sure Mike Brown's a millionaire. You ever see that guy? he's barely a millionaire. You're like, boo-hoo, millionaire. That guy shops at the same places we do, I think.
He's a thousandaire.
He's late on rent.
Can't forget to mention Cooper Rush. He's no longer going to back up Dak Prescott, choosing instead to back up Lamar Jackson. Baltimore reportedly guaranteeing Rush $4.2 million over 2 years.
How's that going to work in practice? One time, one unit has Lamar Jackson, the other's got Cooper Rush. They're so different in style. You know, I know it doesn't matter for your backup quarterback, but that's kind of funny because Cooper Rush can't do Lamar Jackson things. I guess it doesn't matter at all. But I would think that you might have the backup who also runs.
No, it's kind of like having a bullpen where like the guy comes in and starts throwing changeups or something.
Yeah,
it's
go
just
lefty,
totally
righty.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think if you're a defense and say Lamar sprains his ankle or something, Cooper Rush comes in, you have to make a major adjustment.
You're a little bit too old to watch cars, but anyway.
If the Knicks are going to lose to Draymond Green and the Warriors, maybe they could use a player like this.
Shea double teamed out front. He's at the foul line to Wallace, slicing, lobbing. Hartenstein gathers and bumps with a left hand. A big send down. Ihart 16 points, 10 rebounds, his 25th double-double, second innings many nights.
That's Matt Pinto, Thunder Radio. Former Knick Isaiah Hartenstein, a career-high 24 points plus 12 boards in OKC's 121-105 win in Milwaukee. The Clippers thumped the Hornets 123-88. James Harden, 31 points, 10 boards, 7 assists. And the Hawks lost their 6th in a row in Brooklyn, 122-114. The St. Louis Blues hammered the Ducks 7-2. They've won 8 of 11, now tied with the Canucks for the last wildcard spot in the West. Vancouver losing to Utah last night 3-1. And the Players' Championship still ain't done. Rory McIlroy, J.J. Spawn have a 3-hole aggregate playoff this morning, unable to do it last night before darkness because of a 4-hour rain delay earlier in the day. Rory had a 3-shot lead when they came back from that break, but could not close things out. And again, 3 more holes coming this morning. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you. Once again, if you'd like to compete against us as a show, you can do that. Pearl Jam Season 4, it's live. It's our bracket challenge. Go to any of our social channels right now, and you can find the link. So that's Twitter, X, that's Facebook, Instagram. We have you covered everywhere. So go and sign up, and, let's all start talking some trash to Perloff's extended family, who apparently is all up in this bracket.
Yeah.
Secondly, we always do a side bracket every year. This year is no different. The theme, best movie sequels. The Gotham City bracket region, is live right now. The Dark Knight, the 1 seed, 2 seed in this region, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and it goes on from there. So you can go check that out, and you can vote on that as well.
So basically, you're Dave Matthews.
And we will play that clip from now to the end of time just to get under Bogusch's skin. Coming up next.
I'm not even listening.
Sure. Coming up next, whose stock is up and whose stock is down after a huge weekend. It's the M&P 500 next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Swinging so smooth. Junior varsity tennis, he's got the groove. Lower Marion's pride, a rising star, but Ernest still bullies him from afar. And it tells he'll never be great,
30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back. We get back to our brackets in just a moment. But, Pearl, we got to do stock up, stock down from a very busy weekend. Whose stock is up?
I actually am going with a team I'm now fascinated with. The Seattle Seahawks. This is Friday, kind of mid-morning, right after the show, signed Cooper Kupp. They have made a lot of moves. They signed Sam Darnold for cheap. They re-signed Ernest Jones. They brought in a lot of defensive talent. DeMarcus Lawrence, who's kind of old and injured. But regardless, this is an interesting team, a dynamic team, because they were stuck in limbo. So now I like them because you're either going to be really good or really bad. That's what I'm kind of into, taking some risks. Seattle is my stock up.
Did you see they gave Sam Darnold DK Metcalf's number?
Oh,
Ooh.
I did not see that. 14?
Yep. So he's got it. My stock up goes to the people at Golden Auctions. I don't know anything about them, but I think they're about to make a lot of money. Pearl, they sold a Flamin' Hot Cheeto shaped like Michael Jordan. Okay? It's going to be auctioned off, and it's expected to get a major haul.
It became personal with me.
They auctioned off a Cheeto, a different Cheeto that looked like a Pokemon character for $87,000. The Pokemon character went for $87,000, so now they have a Flamin' Hot Cheeto that resembles Michael Jordan's Jumpman logo, and who knows how much this thing is going to get.
Wait, which Pokemon?
I didn't know this one. It's called Charizard?
Charizard?
Yeah. $87,000 for a Cheeto. And this one looks like the Jumpman logo. Here, look.
That's amazing.
How much would you pay for that Cheeto?
Then do you eat it?
No. I mean, you can do whatever you want with it.
How else do you save it?
You preserve it.
What was the thing that we debated last year? The banana taped against the wall? We did that, right?
Yeah, that was like some kind of weird art installation. But this really looks like Michael Jordan's Jumpman logo just as a Cheeto.
Right. But, well, similar with the banana, how long does it last? Can you put it in a frame and it just be there for decades?
Yeah, I mean, a banana will actually go bad. A Cheeto could survive a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
A Cheeto's going to outlive us all. And I'm not saying cheetah, a Cheeto. A Flamin' Hot Cheeto.
Chester.
Yeah, exactly. The snack. So big ups to Golden Auctions, who's making money off of these weirdly shaped Cheetos. Okay, whose stock is down?
This is almost unfair because it's kicking a team when they're down. Watch the Suns-Lakers game yesterday. This Phoenix team is the most embarrassing, even more embarrassing than the Mavs, in a sense, because the Mavs are just an outright joke. But the Suns still think that they're kind of cool. They are non-competitive with Kevin Durant. I really think this is one of the most disappointing, quote-unquote, super-ish teams of all time. It's not just that they're not great. You can see the lack of effort. They annoy me so much.
Grow up.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the Bradley Beal was just terrible signing. Now they wanted to trade Durant. Remember, he wouldn't go to Golden State, and it looks like Jimmy Butler was the way better fit. So
he's an idiot.
Yeah, now they're competing with Dallas for that last play-in spot. I mean, they'd be the 4 seed in the East, but that's the West for you.
Who cares?
Yeah, no, Katie, if you're listening, by the way, don't come at me in social, please.
Too late.
He's an idiot.
All right, my stock down. I was thinking about this over the weekend. I'm going to give it to Danny Hurley. Now, you'd wonder, Max, why Danny Hurley? He's the back-to-back champ. UConn in the tournament. They're going to be in the South region. I'm sorry, that's a lie. They're going to be in the West region, taking on Oklahoma in an 8-9 matchup. You're like, Maggie, how Danny Hurley's winning at life, okay? Danny Hurley was like an eyelash away of becoming the Lakers head coach. And that job looked one way before they traded for Luka Doncic, and now it looks a different way. And they beat the Phoenix Suns yesterday. Do you think that Danny Hurley has any regret of not taking the job, knowing that basically it was just going to be a LeBron handing the baton off to Luka Doncic? Like, that makes your job pretty easy. We're lauding JJ Redick now as being like this amazing coaching genius. Lakers are definitely, headed in the right direction when LeBron comes back and if he's healthy. I think Danny Hurley stock down. He should have taken the Lakers job.
Yeah, I hear you. That seems to assume the Lakers are going to win something, though, in that formula. Does that mean because if they, now we've raised expectations. If they lose, you also have the downside of losing with the Lakers. I don't think anyone's going to kill Danny Hurley for losing this year in the tournament.
Maybe not this year, but you lose, it's hard to win a national title, right? Really hard. I don't know if it's harder to win a national title or an NBA title. We could have that debate another time, but he's won two. You could have left on this ultimate high note, could have coached the Lakers, and you could have always gone back to college.
Yeah, I guess so. But if the Lakers lose in round one, you get killed, and you have no idea how this is going to play out. Also, too, it's what's the butterfly theory? If Danny Hurley's the coach of the Lakers, there's a lot of butterfly effect. Thank you. Butterfly tattoo. I'm just kidding. I saw one of those recently. Anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah, I mean, who knows if actually Luka ends up there? The Lakers haven't won anything. I'm sorry, am I missing something where they're in the finals?
They're not in the finals yet, but the job got a lot easier when you traded for Doncic.
Yes, but the job also got a lot more pressure on it. It's already pressure with the Lakers. This year especially, because you're going to have LeBron once he finally decides to take this vacation, end this vacation, and come back to the court. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I'm telling you, I get why he stayed at UConn. I think the Lakers, you get killed if you lose it.
Hey, LeBron, we're pulling for your groin.
Okay, let's do one more round. Stock up.
Stock up is definitely old coaches, baby. I feel like we're in the golden era of 69 to 74-year-old coaches. My guy, Bruce Pearl in his 60s, Tom Izzo looking great, Rick Pitino, John Calipari, and Kelvin Sampson, all...
Rick Barnes.
But it feels like you don't need to be young at all to coach in college basketball, that they have some sort of weird advantage. Most sports are not like that. Most sports are the exact opposite, where the 38-year-old grinds away. This is really kind of exciting for a older guy like me to see guys that were great in 2005 are all of a sudden the top coaches in the league. It's awesome. Obviously, Pitino leading the way out of nowhere, but people forget Kelvin Sampson, 69 years old, and feels really, really vital.
Did you put Mark Few in there? How old is Mark Few?
How old is Mark?
EJ, you're our Gonzaga historian here. Okay, one more stock up for you. I got to give a stock up to the LA Dodgers players. This is basically like a jealousy type thing. So they're in Japan to take on the Cubs, Pearl. That's going to happen today and tomorrow, right? I believe. There was a team dinner for the Dodgers. Now, I'm a big fan of sushi. I know not everybody loves that. There was a team dinner that Shohei Ohtani organized with a world-renowned sushi chef that all the Dodgers got to be a part of. If I could be a part of any team dinner, that would be the number one. You can keep your night before the Masters and whoever gets to pick out the menu. Give me the world-renowned sushi chef picked out by Shohei Ohtani.
Mm-hmm.
I'd give anything to be a part of that
Oh,
dinner.
it'd be amazing. Except for when Matsuyama won the Masters and he picked sushi.
Oh, he did, right?
Yeah.
That one time. But I can't leave it to just like one person's taste. I need Ohtani to find the best chef in Japan, and then everyone gets to delight in that.
But you get those killer desserts at the Masters meal. You get a little, what's that ice cream in Japan called?
Mochi?
Yeah, get a little mochi. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Ultimate stock up. Okay, we get back to the NCAA tournament brackets. What's your strategy for filling one out?
You're in a 5-minute break.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Brackets out, brackets up. Let's get it. Maggie Perloff Show. Our bracket is live. Pearl Jam Season 4. You can go to all of our social channels and sign up now, and you can play alongside the show. Perloff has invited his entire family and friends, so we're excited to dunk on all those folks.
This is basically a lot of Lower Merion High School, so there's going to be a lot of Philadelphia bias, although there are no Philly teams. There's a lot of trash talk already on my text threads about who's going to do better. So I have a lot of pressure. I'm deep into the analytics right now.
Yeah, I'm sure. We got a lot of questions that need to be answered about the men's bracket. And for that, we're so pleased to be joined by Chris Walker, CBS Sports college basketball analyst. Does a fantastic job, was a former head coach, interim head coach at Texas Tech, but coached at Villanova, played at Villanova, New Mexico, Cal, UMass, all over the country. Chris, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing this morning? It's been a long night for us, for sure.
I know. Well, thanks for doing this. And we know our heads are swimming here as we're trying to make sense of these brackets. First and foremost, North Carolina getting into the field of 68. They're going to start in Dayton against San Diego State. Clearly the most polarizing team in the field. Did they deserve a spot?
I mean, I don't want to get in trouble here, but absolutely not. I mean, here's the thing with North Carolina, and people, again, we interviewed Bubba Cunningham and Keith Gill yesterday, and Bubba Cunningham said he recused himself. And I'm like, really? Like, you recuse yourself? And Keith Gill, who's going to take over next year, said, hey, they deserve, North Carolina got in because Memphis won the AAC. And I'm sitting there going like, okay, so why do we do quad one wins again if it doesn't matter? Second thing is this. Cooper Flagg gets hurt. No matter what you think about North Carolina, they have a chance to beat Duke without Cooper Flagg. And then now, guess what? No one can say anything because they beat the number one seed, and they still lost. And you still put them in? There are teams that are far more deserving than North Carolina. I got a list of them. But at the end of the day, it's just a shame. But the thing that makes it look ugly is that Bubba Cunningham was the chair of the committee. And to me, again, we're going to have teams like this every year. But 1-11, and the last thing I'll say is this. Well, they played a tough schedule. They did not win. So when do we start rewarding losing? And that's the problem I have with it.
But Chris, structurally, how are you supposed to do it? The head of the committee has to be from some school, right? Because they're all ADs pretty much.
Which I have a problem with that as well, that we don't have basketball people on the committee because I've been a head coach before. I've been in college, and a lot of ADs know nothing about the sport. They just hire coaches. So now you got them picking teams, which is odd to me, But at the end of the day, it's something that's been going on forever. And you make a great point. It's ADs. But when your team, North Carolina, now I don't know if you're a North Carolina fan or not, but if your team is that bad and they get in, you deserve scrutiny. They had a chance to beat Duke without Cooper Flagg. Who would have argued if they won that game? So they lost, and you still put them? Oh, come on, guys.
Coach,
absolutely.
Coach Chris Walker, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Coach. Coach Chris Walker, CBS Sports college basketball analyst joining us, not mincing any words there, and I'm in complete agreement. You're seeing my co-host, Andrew Perloff, wearing a North Carolina Tar Heels
hat. I see the hat. I was worried. That's not.
Don't let it fool you, Coach. He only brings this out once the tournament begins. He never roots for North Carolina. This is some kind of, this is a staged.
Wait, but Chris, because I'm from Philadelphia, I'm a Villanova fan, so we're good. You and I are good.
I'm a Villanova. Well, you're good then, but if you're a Villanova fan, take that blue hat off.
Thank you, Coach. Okay, so we'll get to Duke in just one moment, but just off the North Carolina thing, I'm making the case that because North Carolina really did not deserve to get in this field of 68. I think Hubert Davis is under a lot of pressure, and this is not his fault, but they're the most polarizing team in the field. And if they lose to San Diego State on Tuesday in Dayton, all the critics are going to look like they were right. Is Hubert Davis facing the most pressure in this tournament, or is there another coach you're looking at who really needs a couple wins?
I mean, they'll all tell you they need a couple of wins, but I'll tell you, Texas, Rodney Terry. I believe that I don't understand the pressure, there at the University of Texas. He's taken them to the Elite Eight. He won a tournament game last season, and yet you hear the fodder about, there's something, in the air at Texas, which, just blows my mind. But to go back to Hubert Davis, you have an embarrassment of riches at North Carolina, right? You see the recruiting that's happening at Duke. And you juxtapose that with what's going on in Carolina. You're like, whoa, hold on. I remember when Roy Williams was there. I remember when Dean Smith was there. We were, we rivaled what was going on in Durham, and it looks like there's a polar opposite. Now, I will say this in Hubert's defense. First year after taking over for a legend, went to the championship game. The next year was number one in the country, did not make the tournament. The next year won the ACC, and he was ACC Coach of the Year. Right? So it's been topsy-turvy. And if he didn't make it this year, certainly the pressure was deserving. But again, when you're North Carolina, you don't expect North Carolina to go through these type of lulls. So you're absolutely right. And one thing I'll say is this, and my partner Gary Parrish says this. Once the tournament starts, it's not about quad one wins anymore. You're playing, neutral site. It's just you reset the deck. And Carolina has enough talent to beat anybody. So even if they made it to the Elite Eight, I would still say they had a terrible season. They just made a run. It's like NC State. Think about this. NC State fired their coach. They went to the Final Four last year. They had a terrible season, and they made a run. So that's where it is for me.
Okay, so it now seems like the thing in coaching is you got to be on the older side to do well. How surprised are you by Rick Pitino and St. John's, and how far do you expect them to go in this tournament?
Well, you guys are getting me in trouble. My Big East, my Big East and Padres to get upset with me. But I'll say this. I said 2 years ago, and people laughed at me. I said, you know what? If St. John's is really serious about basketball and they want to win, go hire Rick Pitino. Forget about the past transgressions. Forget about all that. You want to win in basketball, go hire a basketball guy. And they did that, and look what has happened. Now, I think Rick Pitino's been, again, and I think this is the basketball gods paying him back, paying the NCAA tournament back, or paying the basketball community back for what they did last year by not letting St. John's in. And look what happened this year. St. John's done a great job. And I'll tell you the magic of Rick Pitino. Everyone says in his second year, he always takes teams to the next level. Here's what he really did, right? Rick Pitino in the Big East has done something that hasn't been done since 84, 85 when they had Walter Berry and Chris Mullin. Do you understand that? And the only sad part about it is Lou Carnesecca died this basketball season, and he did not get to see it. But what he did, taking this roster, and I'm telling you right now, it's not the sexiest roster in the world, right? R.J. Luis started at UMass. Zuby Ejiofor didn't get off the bench at Kansas. Davon Smith came from Utah. Kadari Richmond hadn't played the NCAA tournament since his freshman year. And then again, you got Sylveon Winter, and who's a freshman. Who's a sophomore this year, and they had injuries to guys, right? At the end of it, to a couple of players, so they're shorthanded. And this dude is still winning at a high level. This dude's got some magic, for real. There's some real magic, and unfortunately, because I work in New York, I work with a bunch of producers that are St. John's people. I have to hear it all day long, so it's nauseating.
Coach Chris Walker is joining us, CBS Sports college basketball analyst, for a few more minutes. We actually have a poll question up right now on X. Are you rooting for Rick Pitino? Because, Coach, I'm out. And I get what he's doing is legendary. 6 teams going to the NCAA tournament. It's been scandals of every different flavor and variety, and I just can't bring myself to root for the guy. Not that I'm not rooting for the players, just can't bring myself to root for the man. Let's go to Duke. The Cooper Flagg injury, does it weigh into your expectations for the Blue Devils? And if so, how far do you have them going?
Listen, I argued with John Rothstein on the screen on TV, and I said, John, even if Cooper Flagg doesn't play, they can still beat North Carolina. And look what happened. Mm-hmm. They have more draft picks than anybody they're going to play against. They're a very talented team. That's what Duke is. And that's why John Shire's done a tremendous job taking over for Coach Krzyzewski. Now, when you get to the Tournament of Champions, what I call it, except when you're letting 95 teams from the SEC in, when you get to the Tournament of Champions, anybody can lose at any given time. And I'll give you Duke in that situation. Again, they're going to try to play Cooper. John Shire says they're going to put Cooper Flagg in the game. The question is, when you insert him, they just won the championship without him. Now you're inserting him into the lineup, back into the lineup, shall I say. I don't think there's going to be an issue there of flow because they've had him all year. And you got to, and I think he's the player of the year in the country. How could you not put him in? So again, Liam McNeely had that same injury and he missed 8 games for UConn. I don't think it's as serious for Cooper Flagg, but I know John Shire knew in the back. I always say sometimes you got to keep a pass in your back pocket. John Shire was like, hey man, I'm gonna show these guys something. I'm gonna show Coach K. Watch this. I'm gonna win without the player of the year, and that's what they did.
Chris, what about the fact that they are star freshmen and it feels like UConn and Villanova, some older teams have had success in recent NCAA tournaments and not the future lottery pick guys. Is there? I've been kind of arguing with Maggie that Duke might be a little young to make a run all the way this year.
Talent always is supreme, right? Duke, I'll tell you this, they lost to some top teams early this year just because those guys were young. But once you get to this time of the year, these guys are sophomores. They're not young guys anymore. I did ask Bruce Pearl yesterday. I said, Bruce, there was a thing that came out that says you guys are just as old as OKC Thunder. I mean, that is how old your team is. And obviously, Bruce was ready for that question. He says, no, there are 7 teams older than us in the SEC. I say, oh, that's the formula now. And so I think the COVID, I call them the COVID babies, the kids that played, that got the extra years, all those kids are getting ready to get out of college basketball. And it's going to be a much different flow. But it goes to show you Duke has done it the way they've always done it. They sprinkled in Sion James and Mason Gillis from Purdue. But at the end of the day, it is their freshmen that are carrying the load. And it goes to show you, because that's the way it's always been done. Duke has always got the cream of the crop, the embarrassment of riches. And that's why I was juxtaposing that with North Carolina. They haven't done that. And that's why they're struggling. Duke has great players. So it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're a great player, you're a great player, and you put enough of them together. Well, that's what John Calipari was doing in Kentucky. And that's what Duke has always done. So I believe that, again, they have the easiest path, by the way, too. Right? That's the other thing. So I think because they they gave Bubba Cunningham, they threw him one by putting Carolina in, they gave Duke the easiest path.
It's like the universe balancing itself out. Hey, it's the best theory I've heard. Coach Chris Walker joining us, CBS Sports college basketball analyst, and played at Villanova and coached at Villanova. All right, Coach, your Final Four and national champion are who?
People are going to kill me on this, all right? All right, but I'm going to go, Auburn's not going to make it. I'm going Michigan State makes it out of the South. I'm definitely going with the University of Houston out of the Midwest. I'm from H-Town, 3 straight #1 seeds for Kelvin Sampson. No doubt about that. I am going to go up, and people, this is going to be an unpopular one, the Memphis Tigers. Now, the question is, all right, they have an injury now. They have an injury to Tyrese Hunter, and that's a little asterisk. But if you look at their non-con, they beat every single person. Penny did a tremendous job. He kind of scheduled like Gonzaga, and that team, I think they have an excellent chance of getting to the Final Four. And my last one is my guy, 3-point shooting, Nate Oates. Alabama makes it to the Final Four. I believe Houston will play Alabama for the national championship.
Wow.
That's awesome. I love the zag with Memphis there. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think that's how it works out. Houston, Alabama, national champion. I'm looking at my list right now.
You're right.
Chris, was Cooper Flagg's ankle any part of that calculus there, or are you not even looking at that? Because you have them losing to Alabama.
I love Nate Oates, and I think that this, the way he plays, and you mentioned something about analytics earlier. I think that they've struggled a bit down the stretch, but they play like 7 straight quad 1 games, and I believe they're battle tested, and I believe that's the one team that can beat a Duke team to get to the Final Four.
All right, Coach, last one for you. This is a little bit of a curveball here. We didn't prep you for this. I'm sorry about that. But every year, along with the regular bracket, we do our own sillier bracket, and we have a different topic every time. 64 teams. This year, the theme was the greatest movie sequels of all time.
Movies, you got me there. The greatest. Okay, I'm going to say Equalizer with Denzel Washington. I'm going to say Rambo with Stallone.
There you go. Rambo 2. We were talking about Rambo 2.
I'm going to say Rocky. I mean, obviously, you got to go Rocky.
Rocky 2.
And I'm going to go Wedding Crashers. How you go? There you go.
Coach Chris Walker, CBS Sports college basketball analyst, the multi-talented. Thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate that. And we love your Final Four here. This is one for us to chew on. Thank you.
For sure. You guys be good. Take that hat off, too, by the way.
I know, Pearl.
Send me a Nova hat, and we'll talk.
I got you.
I think he knows a guy who can help you out with that. Okay, so there you go. From Chris Walker, not mincing any words there about North Carolina, should not be in this field of 68. And a lot of pressure on Hubert Davis, Pearl, because as Coach said, it's been really up and down. The highs have been high, making it to the national title game, but the lows of missing the tournament and obviously now being one of the polarizing teams.
Yeah, and I like his sequel takes, although I
Was there a Wedding Crashers too?
There's no Wedding Crashers
we'll
too.
let
So
that
small
slide.
problem. I think he was thinking of Hangover 2.
Maybe.
Or one of those movies feels
Anchorman
like
2, something like
or Anchorman 2 feels like there should have been Wedding Crashers 2. Equalizer. Those
Let's not reveal
good
anything.
Movies.
Not revealing anything. We
Those
only
are
have
good movies.
One region has been revealed, the Gotham City region, Dark Knight, the number 1 seed in that region. You can go to Maggie and Pearl.
I love the question too because it reveals a lot about your movie taste. When you say sequel, what movies pop into your head says what age you're like, what kind of movies you like. Because immediately when you say sequel, I think like there are certain movies that just immediately everyone thinks of something.
Yeah.
For you, it's Caddyshack 2.
Yeah. And D2 Mighty Ducks and Ghostbusters 2 and all of those amazing films.
Yeah. For me, it's an Oscar winner, but whatever.
We'll get noises! We'll get to that. So the Maggie Perloff movie sequels bracket is live. You can vote on X for the first region, the Gotham City region. We also have our traditional men's bracket that is up as well. It's Pearl Jam Season 4, and you can find the link for all of that on our socials as well. So you can play against the show, and we can all try to beat Manny. So there we go.
Yeah, that's a really high bar.
Our final 4, Perloff and I have ours. We'll reveal that to you in just moments. We also have some football news for you, too.
I have the Lakers in the Final Four. Is that right?
Is that right? It's the Maggie Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Oh, Shep had a vision. He thought he was grand, thought LeBron would pick up, thought he'd make a stand. But the Lakers saw his email and let out a sigh. Is this guy for real? He must be high. Did you think you'd book the king on your weekend overnight thing? Bro, he's got rings, a yacht and a jet. You've got 3 insomniacs and 1 drunk Mets fan named Chet. Shep, are you serious? Did you hit your head? This ass was worse than a Knicks fan's dread. Maggie and Perloff can't stop their laughs. Rich eyes and staff make memes in your behalf. Zach Geld nearly dropped his mic. Reader said, man, this can't be life. Even Bogusch, who never reacts, just sent a text, Chiefs on crack. LeBron's got meetings, not billion-dollar deals. You're begging for airtime with 5 out of needle deals. Shep, how did this idea take flight? LeBron doesn't know you, he barely knows midnight. This is getting set there, and you're in dollar deals. You're begging for airtime with 5 out of needle deals. Shep, how did this idea take flight? LeBron doesn't know you, he barely knows midnight. You got rejected and you're feeling slighted. Dude, the Lakers PR team was so excited. They took screenshots, they sent it all around. You guys won't believe this insane clown. Shep, are you serious? Did you hit your head? This ask was worse than a Knicks fan's dread. Maggie and Perloff can't stop their laughs. Rich eyes and staff make memes in your behalf. LeBron's not calling, not today. Now Bailey fish in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret, and he's hiding it inside. Zach Jobs lost in darkness, Ryan Stream's a mess, Chappelle and Wolf's just a spinning wheel. Oh Lord, what a distress. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee tea. So Davey, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name.
Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We just had Coach Chris Walker on, CBS Sports HQ, college basketball expert. I have a tendency to be influenced by the last person I heard before I fill out my bracket. And his Houston, Alabama take was pretty darn strong, I have to be honest with you. Because you know Alabama will start firing those threes up. It's just numbers, Maggie. A 3 beats a 2.
Yeah, I know. And Nate Oates is like the world's most famous math teacher. I get that. But for me, in terms of that region, I've already told you that I have Duke going to the Final Four, so I would have them beating Alabama. And as far as Houston is concerned, he's right. I mean, third straight season that Houston has a 1 seed, you kind of get the sense that if not now, then when? 855-212-4227. What Coach Chris Walker also said is he has the Memphis Tigers going to the Final Four. That West region is like the coach's who's who. So you got Penny Hardaway, obviously, was a big NBA star. You have Rick Pitino in this region, John Calipari in this region, Bill Self in this region. You have Bryce Drew, tournament hero in this region. You've got Kevin Willard, who is a Pitino acolyte and famous in his own right. Danny Hurley is in this region. And maybe the hottest coach in the country is Todd Golden, who's the head coach of the Florida Gators. Maybe not the household name
Todd.
right now, but I mean, his team won 30 games this year and just won the SEC, which is the best conference in the country.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Excuse me.
By the way, we
emotional? Died.
Can we just, there's a little side topic going on here.
What's that?
We just lost EJ. What is going on, Manny? Where is EJ Stewart?
So our good friend Boomer Esiason, he has actually summoned EJ to go talk on the morning show. So
they're still doing this bit?
They're still doing the bit.
And he's allowed to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so former NFL MVP Boomer Esiason just requested that EJ Stewart, our executive producer,
I was all about the beefcake, boys. I wasn't about the acting.
Go speak for, listen, EJ doing a solid for this show, which is when he's hosting on WFAN to tell people, hey, my Monday through Friday gig is the executive producer of the Maggie and Perloff show.
Yeah.
Well, how the turntables have.
Yeah. Good job by EJ.
Yeah, he got called out by Joyce in New Jersey, the snitch.
This crap is crap.
We're just saying, is Boomer allowed to summon him? There are no MVPs on this show. No former NFL MVPs.
The NFL.
We're MVPs in our own household. Yeah, I'm curious. You know, Boomer and Gio, they could get after you. I'm a little nervous for our guy right now.
This guy's a fox.
But again, live in the moment at 7:10 Eastern, I thought Boomer was defending EJ, and they went back and they found the air check.
Yeah.
And I thought still they were okay with what EJ did, very politely and delicately saying, you guys, if you're not listening to Boomer and Gio, or you are, just find us on the podcast.
Oh, boy.
I mean, one family, guys. Same team.
Yeah.
You know? Listen, I know what it's like to work over there. Same team.
You should know it's not the same team.
Listen, everybody eats.
There's like 4 different teams.
Everybody eats, Listen, and we're not.
I'm starving.
Not everybody's cup of tea. But Dog in Maryland wanted to call in. One of my stock up, stock down for the M&P 500. I said stock down Danny Hurley. She probably should have joined the Lakers. Had he known that Luka was going to be part of the team, maybe he would have thought twice about it. What's up, Dog?
Dog.
Hey, it's Doug. How's it going, guys?
No, it's Doug. I double checked.
Get EJ out of here. Tell him to stay down the hallway.
Get him back over here. I said, "Are you sure it's Dog in Maryland?" He goes, "Yeah, it's Dog." I'm sorry, Doug.
That's actually my nickname.
Doug the dog?
No, just dog. Just dog.
Which Cotton Bowl did you play in?
Dog.
I think they spell it D-A-W-G, by the way.
So you're like part of the dog pound.
That type of dog, yeah. Anyway, no, the reason I called in was I don't believe Hurley has any regrets because a lot of those college coaches, they just love the, they love that. They have so much passion for that. They stay there. I mean, look at P.J. Carlesimo.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the pros and he didn't do so well. I think Krzyzewski, that's the reason why he decided not to, broaden his horizons in the NBA. But I got a close friend who manages a prominent college baseball team.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say who he coaches, but he told me a couple years ago that he loves coaching college baseball so much that he doesn't have any desire to manage in the majors.
To go to the pros. Doug, our dog. Doug, thank you for that. I wonder if that's going to change a little bit because with NIL now, it's becoming a lot more like the pros. You're coaching guys who are getting paid.
I think college basketball is a little different. College football, nobody wants any part of because the roster is so huge and you have to manage 100 guys. Basketball, you have a small team. I think it's a lot easier to be college. Have you heard all the college football coaches want jobs in the NFL because the hours are terrible? I mean, how many guys are on a college basketball court? You recruit 3 transfers, you're done.
Yeah, I guess my thing is it never hurts the college guys if they go to the pros and then they fail and then they can go back to college. And case in point is John Calipari. His Nets tenure was not that memorable. And then he got the Kentucky job finally. Like, that's the highest of the highs in the sport.
Yeah, but I don't think he looks back at that fondly. It seemed like a miserable experience.
Well, but whether it worked or didn't work, I'm just saying it's not like a legacy killer. Like if Billy Donovan wanted to come back to college tomorrow, he could have that Indiana job. He could have the Villanova job. He could have whatever of these big jobs that are going to open up in 2 seconds.
But who's the college coach, and I'm probably missing someone obvious, who went from incredible college success to great pro success? There are a lot of guys. I mean,
Brad Stevens was a good Celtics head coach.
That's what you got.
I mean,
good GM.
He was a good Celtics head coach and took Butler to back-to-back finals.
I'm trying to think of the title-winning coaches. I mean, Spoelstra wasn't really Spoelstra, Pop.
P.J. Carlesimo did as an assistant won titles with the San Antonio Spurs. But as a head coach, obviously, we remember him most for getting choked by Latrell Sprewell. All right, EJ is back. It wasn't Dog, it was Doug, EJ.
Yeah, I learned. And he did say, when I said, all right, your name is Dog? He said, yes. All right, what do you want to say, Dog? And he responded every time with yeses. So I don't know what to say.
I said, all right, Dog in Maryland. He goes, it's Doug.
Dog.
Of course.
All right, so what did league MVP, former NFL MVP, Boomer Esiason say? Are we in trouble?
No, we're not in trouble. I had to go in there and try to beat the allegations, which I did. And shout out to CeeLo. CeeLo was there as well to put the full context that I did mention Boomer and Gio, and you should listen to it. I think Boomer was a little salty that I named so many places you could listen to Maggie and Perloff. I was like, you had to give out the Sirius XM number too? I'm like, yes.
375.
Right, of course, 375. You want to do it in New York, Babe Ruth?
John Elway, Reggie Bush.
Yeah, exactly.
Those aren't New York legends.
Yeah, I'm in New York.
Babe
sorry. Ruth, I was trying to think of number 7.
Carmelo Anthony, Joe DiMaggio. What are we doing?
That works.
There you go.
I'm a slut for meats and cheeses.
Yeah, so CeeLo, to his credit, really helped me as I was brought into the courtroom of Boomer and Gio.
All right, good. Well, I'm glad you beat the rap, and I'm glad that our show is not going to get in trouble. And does Boomer now know that our show actually goes till 10 o'clock Eastern time? Or
I don't think so. I think that's why he summoned me. He's like, hey, come over here.
Not. He's just free.
I'm like, I'm working, but like, I also don't think I can just ignore Boomer Esiason. So, okay.
Smart move. I mean, you don't want to say no to Boomer. I think it's funny that he thinks we're just hanging out here for an hour after the show. You know?
I'm just happy he knows that you guys have a show.
Well, he knows us.
Yeah, but
See him
again,
every
he knows all
morning.
of us. He knows all of us, but he doesn't have a handle on all parts of the network.
Listen, Boomer sent when I had Lucas. This now feels like 100 years ago. He's 5.5. Boomer was the first person who sent me a very lovely gift. So we're friends with Boomer.
Hey, I have a question. Who was your 7 again? I was just got
John
caught up.
Elway.
Okay, for New York.
Mello. I
Well,
blurted out
Mantle,
Mello.
obviously, right? I was like, wait.
Mickey
some-
Mantle, Carmelo Anthony.
I mean, Babe Ruth, Mickey. It's so Yankee biased. Come on, let's try to get some of the
Carmelo
There's another
Anthony?
8 teams in the city.
Guys, we're not on the Fan.
Mickey
We're
Mantle,
just next to
Carmelo
the Fan.
Anthony? Yeah, come on. Yeah, but we're talking about the one franchise whose numbers are iconic.
Just be happy he didn't give you a crappy Nick at number 5.
Number 3, we could have gone Josh Hart. Number
See?
5, maybe the Jason Kidd. Remember when Jason
Ooh.
Kidd was a Nick?
Yeah.
No.
I barely remember him as a net.
It looked like Elmer Fudd when he wore that headband. It was so cool.
How's Josh Hart doing these days?
That doesn't matter.
A little fight with the head coach there?
Anyway, we're at Bogusch. You got updates?
You don't have that power.
Yes, only I will throw to Bogusch, which I will do right now.
Well,
What's the
thank you,
latest?
Maggie.
Yes.
It's payday in Cincinnati.
I'm top mover.
The Bengals have reportedly finally paid Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, both receivers getting 4-year extensions. Chase's averages $40.25 million, making him the highest paid non-QB ever. He's guaranteed $112 million. We're told that the first 2 years of Higgins' deal is guaranteed, but the dollar sign's not reported yet. It is also payday in Houston. Texans cornerback Derek Stingley Jr., 3 years, $90 million. 89 of that is guaranteed. He's the new highest paid defensive back in NFL history.
I hate being poor.
Wait, what's that number again? The total was for 90?
Yeah, I don't know why the $1 million is
up
not,
for grabs?
Yep. Keeping him honest.
Is that like if he doesn't make a Pro Bowl or something?
I don't know, but it's 3-90. I've never seen that before. 3-90 overall, 89 mil guaranteed. Maybe not all 100% guaranteed at the moment. Maybe only some for injury. But I've never seen a deal that's other than Deshaun Watson at 100%.
Yeah.
That's that close to 100% guaranteed.
If there is an incentive on that $1 million, if you're Stingley, do you care about it? Do you go for it, or are you just like,
that's the sweetest million, right? It's the one they wouldn't guarantee.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. See, I think it'd be the opposite. I'd be like, the rest of it's a guarantee. I'm good. I got to play 17 games to make it. My hamstring's a little sore.
By
I'll
the
leave
way,
that million away.
speaking of Deshaun Watson, did you see he got engaged over the
Yes,
weekend?
I did see that.
All over my timeline. Congratulations to the happy couple. I was like, more like, good luck, girl.
Looked like it was near some water as well.
Probably.
Maybe Bill Belichick and his girlfriend were.
Double date?
That's why they're in such a good mood.
Oh, gosh.
I think
20
those
yards away.
congratulations were ironic.
Was it?
I think so. I know what you're talking about.
The headline on me would have been like, run, girl. But
yeah,
that's just me.
Yeah, I think Andrea saw that same headline. She was like, who the hell would say this? And I was like, I think it's a troll.
No, I don't think
I
it's
saw it
just
in
you.
multiple places, but yeah, you're right. It probably is a troll. My bad.
You think?
Woof, woof.
By the way, isn't Derek Stingley, he's about the 8th cornerback to become the highest paid cornerback of all time now, right?
There's nothing less real than the highest paid fill in the blank.
Yeah, J.C. Horn was last week, and Patrick Surtain was, too.
We went from Crosby to Garrett to
I know.
Jamar Chase, the highest paid non-QB in 6 days.
Yeah, I think Jamar Chase, $40 million, that wasn't so bad. I thought
was $1 more than Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I kind of thought that the money that the Bengals paid up wasn't so terrible.
I saw one guess that they probably cost themselves about 10 to 15 mil by not doing him and Higgins sooner.
Last year.
Seems right.
Or
But
2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because to be the highest paid non-QB, which is what they had promised Chase, they had to now jump Crosby and then Myles Garrett. So that number's a little bit different. And Higgins, they probably could have gotten for a little bit less had they done him any sooner.
But I wondered, last year Jefferson was $35 million, right? And this year Chase is $40 million.
40.25, yeah.
Kind of feels like the cap went up. It feels like the price of doing business. I felt like they paid fair value for Jamar Chase.
I wonder, though, if you're Chase's agent, do you also wait on a deal knowing that I think that Garrett and Crosby are going to get done? Let's hold out for a couple more weeks.
Well, yeah, once Duke Tobin got up at the combine and said, we're going to make him the highest paid non-quarterback, that's when I start taking my sweet time.
Right, yeah, right. Because we always put it on the Bengals, and it's easy to dump on the Bengals, but it also could have been Chase's agent being like, let's be smart here.
No, you can still dump on the Bengals.
Okay.
He should have never said that.
I'm sure there's another too. By the way, we don't know for sure. There might be another signing coming at extension that could pass out easily.
I don't know what the Jets do in a Sauce Gardner. I mean, I hate to bring it to the Jets, but like every cornerback is getting signed, and the Jets are like, whoop-de-whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, I mean,
what do we see here?
Sounds about Jets.
He's got to pass Stingley now, doesn't he?
Yes.
Well,
I'm like,
Parsons
and
will
Garrett
pass
Wilson.
everybody too.
there have been like 3 corners that have signed just this offseason. They could have had him be the highest paid corner, and had him get passed up by Stingley, by the guy in Carolina.
Horn,
like, it's ridiculous.
Also, when's the last time Patrick Mahomes renegotiated something? Was that last year?
Nah, he redid it. He's redone it twice.
Has he redone it twice?
By the way, Micah Parsons will pass Chase this summer, too.
What are we talking about?
And I think there are other players, too. So,
you know when that Parsons contract is coming 2 days before training camp starts.
Yeah, definitely.
Pencil it in.
Definitely.
The Bengals signings came probably after you fell asleep on your bracket. It was supposed to be a drama-free men's reveal since there were no bid stealers, no major surprises in the smaller conference tournaments. But, of course, there was drama, particularly with North Carolina getting in over West Virginia, Indiana, and others. In case you haven't heard, the Tar Heels only have one quad one win. You guys are cute, like with your quad win disdain, and having to actually think about those things. It's the dumbest setup ever.
You mean the metrics?
Yeah, well, like the fact that it depends on where you're playing. So a quad one win at home is not the same thing as a quad one road win. And I've seen teams hurt themselves. Like if there have been teams that have won in an upset, which is, this is a quad one win. But then when they redo the numbers the next morning, the team that they beat because they just lost to you now is a quad two. Like you cost yourself a win by getting it. Yes. And they change over time. It was a quad one win. Now it's a quad two win, or it was a quad two win. Now it's a quad one. No, thank you. No, thanks.
All it does is just lead to North Carolina being in the tournament.
Yes.
I just wonder, is the tournament better off because North Carolina is in it?
I'm with you. There's no tangible jump in ratings because North Carolina is playing a game tomorrow night.
I don't think so either. I think the tournament doesn't need it.
Right.
I would argue the first 4 needs it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Now, the whole tournament, definitely, but I guarantee you this first 4 Carolina first game will do better than most do.
All right, that's fair.
Probably. But I'm just looking at was there another 11 seed that they could have put there?
Well, it would have been West Virginia. I mean, that's the thing.
Okay, so they're going to goose the ratings for the first 4.
Typically, these first 4 teams, you're talking about, a West Virginia type, some
they got Texas Xavier
middling
too.
SEC or middling, But Xavier again, it's the same thing. A middling Big East team. You don't have these blue bloods when we're playing in the first 4. They're usually unwatchable. So much better back in the day when you didn't have all these analytics and metrics. You'd be like, Purdue should be in, and based on very little information. Quad, and you
says our number one nerd on the show.
Everyone keeps saying quad one, like it's been quad one wins, like it flows off the tongue. I don't even know when this term became mainstream.
The WOB,
2019, by the way.
The WOB is the one that got me.
Yes, that's new to me too.
Wins above bubble. I'm like, the bubble's like I know it's a real thing, but it's also like not a real thing,
Right. And there can't be science in something called wins above bubble. Why? Like, it just can't.
It's also like something that would be in Willy Wonka. Like, they have some kind of bubble drink. Makes you float.
You had a stat about bracketology or whatever it was.
I mentioned it earlier.
Which was basically people like Joe Lunardi fill out their fake brackets and they put them all together. Well, that's like determining who's going in the NFL draft based on a bunch of mock drafts. What?
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. Like, so assume that every single bracket or every single mock draft said Cam Ward was going to be number 1.
Right.
And Cam Ward didn't get picked in the first round.
Right.
This is the reverse of North Carolina. None of those guys, every Joe Lunardi clone, no one had North Carolina in, and then they got in.
Well, this is the thing about the committee. It changes every year. So you have different, in some ways, like the criteria could be just a little bit different every year. So you're just chasing. It's like, do we do a strong non-conference schedule? Do we not? Do we do more neutral sites? Do we not? It's a moving target.
I think what bothers me, too, is that North Carolina game against Duke, where they were getting housed in the first half, in a game that Duke meant nothing to Duke, did not have Cooper Flagg. They make this comeback, and is that why they got in? Because they lost a close game to a Cooper Flagg-less team that was blowing them out in the first half? I don't know. It just seems very arbitrary.
But then Duke went on to win the tournament, so...
But at the same time, though, that particular game is a game that put them over.
Yeah.
And we know who Cooper Flagg team has been. They're not the same team without him.
I was rooting so hard for that game because I really wanted to wear this North Carolina hat I'm wearing on Monday. So
Didn't
I
matter.
was pulling so hard. But that is so funny. On afterwards, I went on and said a lot of people said North Carolina still has a shot. And then every expert said, as Bogusch pointed out, no writer had them in. Anyway.
UCLA, by the way, is the top overall seed in the women's bracket for the first time ever. South Carolina, USC, Texas are the others. The Trojans could have to deal with UConn in the regional final, leading head coach Lindsey Gottlieb to say, quote, "I never thought I'd be a 1 seed and feel disrespected. Sometimes I don't understand the people who make decisions in women's college basketball and why they do what they do." UConn does not like being in that USC region as well. So we've got some
Nobody's
seeding
happy.
issues.
Nobody's happy. Dawn Staley's not happy.
That's right.
Lindsey Gottlieb's not happy. Nobody's happy. 855-212-4227. Bogusch, thank you. Coming up, more on the brackets and also the latest with Aaron Rodgers and the Vikings. We've got a percentage. How likely is he to sign with the team? We'll do that next.
Don't make shit up, okay?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Manny just discovered ABBA. Pretty good, huh?
You should go check my last tweet. They had some bangers, this band.
You were unfamiliar with their work.
You can dance.
That's all right.
You
That's all right. We'll let them sing
Do
it.
you know what ABBA spells backwards?
Stop, you guys. Just stop.
That?
You discover 18s, the cover, the teenage cover of ABBA.
I might have to tune in.
This is like Manny discovers the world, and anything that happened before the year 2000 is pretty amazing. No, ABBA's a good band. And I'm ignoring Perloff's dad joke.
They knew what they were doing.
Okay.
Whatever. I said, how do you spell ABBA backwards? And someone didn't figure it out. And
Did you
misspelled
say
it.
ba?
I said ba, yeah.
I
Manny.
missed that.
This is like when Coach Chris Walker said Wedding Crashers was his favorite sequel. I'm glossing this over. Like,
that kind of makes
he
sense.
was a great
though.
guest. I'm just going to let it go. Meanwhile, speaking of sequels, we are trying to determine the greatest movie sequel of all time. And how are we doing that? With a bracket, of course. The Maggie and Perloff. This is our silly, wacky, alternate bracket. Movie sequels. The Gotham City region is live right now. All your social media platforms. The Dark Knight is the 1 seed. 16 seed is D2, The Mighty Ducks. And we got everything in between. What were you saying to me, EJ?
I want to know if you do some preliminary results maybe before tomorrow. Of course, the polls close tomorrow.
Any upsets brewing? You can take a look at that. Well, I also tell you, if movie sequels are not your thing, and say you just like to do regular, run-of-the-mill brackets, well, we got that for you, too. Maggie and Perloff, Pearl Jam Season 4 is also live. It's also available on our social channels. That's where you can sign up, fill out a regular men's bracket, and you can compete against the show.
I'll say this 215 Lost World, Jurassic Park versus Ghostbusters 2 right now is a
here's my
What
problem.
did I tell you guys?
Here's my problem.
Ghostbusters 2 is underrated.
How is Lost World a 2 seed? Everybody hates that movie.
Look,
Come on, man. It's a 42 on Tomato Meter.
We went to the computers.
I am doubting artificial intelligence. Maggie's going to brag about Ghostbusters 2 because it beat the least popular Jurassic Park.
Listen, you want to take it up with AI. Well, that's your own funeral. I'm nice to the robots.
Have fun having a chat with Allen Iverson.
My movie, Inside Out 2, had to go up against John Wick 2, and whatever gets in John Wick's way gets destroyed. So what kind of... That was totally unfair.
Wasn't Boban Marjanovic one of those who was destroyed by John Wick?
Was he in that movie?
I think he was, yeah. I think he was in one of them.
Nice. Let's get to it.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
All right, well, turns out we may have been wrong about this whole Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings saga, Pearl. We thought this was Rodgers who was holding this whole thing up. We thought, everyone knows he doesn't get good service at the Malibu house. Found that out when he was going through this with the Green Bay Packers a couple years ago. But it turns out it's actually Kevin O'Connell. The Vikings head coach is kind of holding the cards here. Let's hear from Mike Silver, a longtime writer now for The Athletic. Let's hear cut 2, Manny, why the Vikings have left the decision up to Kevin O'Connell. And this is from the Just Your Opinion Man podcast.
He's the reigning coach of the year. He's a quarterback whisperer. He is uniquely positioned to understand if J.J. McCarthy is going to be able to handle that and what that means. And to the Vikings' credit, they are letting him, run point on this, and ownership won't stand in his way. He and the front office are aligned.
Okay, so this is really KOC's world, Pearl, and Aaron Rodgers is just living in it. So what is the likelihood that Rodgers ends up with the Vikings?
We know a lot, but one thing we cannot tell you, and that's because it hasn't been decided yet, is what will Kevin O'Connell ultimately choose. And some people who are pretty familiar with what's going on in that building have told us it's literally 50-50 in their eyes.
Okay, so that's Mike Silver on the Just Your Opinion Man podcast. Funny from the Big Lebowski. Okay, what do you think? 50-50?
Well, man, it's so interesting because that means that the Vikings are confident that Aaron Rodgers is going to wait for them and not sign with the Steelers or the Giants, who reportedly have a standing offer out to him. That's a lot of confidence out of the Vikings, which makes me think that secretly they want him to go elsewhere so they don't have to make this decision. Because if it was so clear, wouldn't they have made it by now? If kind of, you know what I mean? If you're wishy-washy at this point, then are you really committed to this move?
Yeah, no, right? Yeah. I mean, you know who Aaron Rodgers is. What are you going back to look at the tape? I mean, you know what he is. You know what he brings to the table, even at this different part of his career. Yeah. And you know what he brings as far as the outside stuff. Like, there's no secrets here. It's not like he's hiding it from anybody. So,
yeah, I mean, you're right. There's so much tape on him. Kevin O'Connell knows his game inside and out.
Of course. And so I think if you're 50-50, it's an invitation. This is a non-invite. But here's the one thing about this that I think is backfiring a bit on the Vikings. We talked about this with the Steelers. If they don't bring Rodgers in and they go back to Russell Wilson, is it going to feel like a letdown? Can I say the same thing for the Vikings? I know J.J. McCarthy is the unknown, so that's maybe exciting. But if he struggles, which wouldn't be a shock, his second year but first year starting, do you look bad, or does the fan base feel let down if you tease them with Aaron Rodgers and ultimately don't sign him?
Well,
put more pressure on you. For Kevin O'Connell.
The reason they got J.J. McCarthy was so they could build a roster around a young quarterback, the Super Bowl formula. So they're not going to know if say they take a step back from last year, which makes sense. Say they're 9-8 with J.J. McCarthy. At least they know, whoa, maybe this guy can build into something in the first 5 years when you need to do it.
But aren't they win now team?
I don't know. I think they are very committed to winning with a cheap quarterback. You can't find out if you're going to win with a cheap quarterback if he sits on the bench. So I think there's a lot of reason to play J.J. McCarthy. And I think, because honestly, if they bring in Aaron Rodgers, what's to make them any different than last year? They could be, or the year that Kirk Cousins had a 13-4 record. I think they're worried that we're going to hit a ceiling with these old quarterbacks. And by the way, you know who's going to kill it there next year? My guy, Joe Flacco, elite once again. Okay, are you telling me you can't see Joe Flacco throwing for 350, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions with Kevin O'Connell's offense indoors?
Joe Flacco?
I mean, it's one thing for Aaron Rodgers to stiff-arm J.J. McCarthy. It's another for Joe Flacco to do it.
Stiff-arm? Well, I'm assuming injury in that scenario.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Flacco?
Joe Flacco is actually in play for the Vikings if they don't get Rodgers, because I do think they want somebody veteran. The guy's coming off, J.J. McCarthy's coming off knee surgery. It makes sense. I get it. I mean, once you make a decision to draft a quarterback at number 10, don't you have a commitment to play him?
I think so, but at the same time, I think what's holding up the Vikings head coach is we've got this win now team, and Aaron Rodgers just kind of fell out of the sky.
Yeah.
Do I owe it to my team to give them a more veteran presence and really try to cash in on this window? Because how much longer are you going to be able to keep Brian Flores as your defensive coordinator? How much longer, are you going to just have this type of team, which is, a juggernaut in the NFC North, even though the playoff record hasn't been good?
Are they, though?
I mean, yeah, they win a lot of games.
Yeah, they need to fix that O-line fast. I know they made a lot of moves, but that fell apart hard last year.
Yeah, but they signed some big-time free agents this offseason. Yeah. EJ Stewart, thank you for always defending the show and promoting the show no matter where you are or what you're doing. Manny Rodriguez, thank you so much. Thank you to Andrew Kaplan, Andrew Bogusch, Weedo's Coffee Drinkers. All right, check out our social handles, guys, for the Pearl Jam Season 4 and the movie sequel bracket. See you tomorrow.